All right, the brake tapping is underway, especially on the west and south loop downtown, then eastbound 24 all the way to Bell Road. Got a little extra hurdle for you over in Hickman County, specifically Dixon. Looks like Highway 48 is shut down just north of 40 for an overturned vehicle. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. 6 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, and we're so glad that you're with us on this 29th day of October. We got a very pleasant 77 degrees out there. We have 1 week until the election. We have until Halloween if you want to vote early. There's still time to do that. Get busy on it, though, because time is running down. We'll start out with our 2024 update, as we often do, since we're so close to the election. A lot of stuff to talk about here. I'm not going to bore you with a tremendous amount of numbers because they haven't dramatically changed. But I will tell you, these Democrats, they're looking at the numbers, they're looking at the trends, and they're absolutely in a panic mode. There's just no doubt about it. Trump deranged syndrome is settling in across the Democrat circles. And let me just give you one example of just how crazy they are acting right now. Debbie Dingell is a member of Congress from Michigan, and she's on with Jake Tapper over at CNN. And she lays out the most unbelievable thing about what Donald Trump is going to do if he becomes president. You won't believe this. Take a listen.
And the Arab American community needs to be reminded and cannot forget. He wants to ban Muslims, he wants to deport Muslims, and he wants to start internment camps. And that's what we are busy talking to every voter. He's telling
I'm not sure. Did you hear that? That he wants to start internment camps.
you what he's going to do. Believe him.
Internment camps?
Even Jake Tapper had to go, what?
Yes, he's talked internment camps. You know what, Jake? You may have to visit me in one. I get worried enough when he talks about what he's going to do to his political enemies. But
yes, he's going to put Democrats in internment camps.
He has talked about them in this with different groups of people.
Well, I've heard him talking about rounding up undocumented migrants, and obviously for that you would need some sort of camp. But what do you mean internment camps for Muslims and Arabs?
He has spoken about that in different audiences. I don't have the exact citation right here, but I'll find it for you.
Yeah, well, nobody can find it because it was never said. They're going, you may have to come visit me in an internment camp. That's right. Donald Trump's going to round up every Democrat in the country and put them in internment camps. That's exactly what he's going to do. I mean, they are losing their minds. All of this talk lately about, well, Donald Trump is a fascist. I don't think it's working out so well for him. But the moment that Kamala Harris started to go negative in that way, her numbers started dropping. And you don't hear them saying it quite as often as they were saying it before. Karl Rove talked about that.
I think she made a big mistake by engaging on the issue of John Kelly's comments about Donald Trump being a fascist. She basically spent 2 days talking about that. And that's not a winning issue for her. Everybody who already thinks that or who will be touched by that is already in her camp. The problem she's got is that she's been a presidential candidate for less than 3 months. And the American people are saying, do I know enough about you to feel comfortable putting you in the Oval Office behind the Resolute desk for the next 4 years? She made a mistake. That is not a winning issue for her. The American people, the small group of them who are up for grabs in this election, want to know, what are you going to do to make my life better for the next 4 years?
And, that's really where we are right now. I mean, we've already had some 50 million people who have voted already in this country. I'll give you the numbers here in the state of Tennessee. They're really quite impressive. But I mean, a lot of people have already voted, and most of the people have made up their mind if they're going to vote. We're really grabbing after a very small group of people right now who are not decided on how they will vote. And I don't know how that could be, but I mean, apparently there are people out there who are really struggling, and it comes somewhere between 2 and 4% of the electorate has yet to decide how they're going to vote. So those are the ones you're trying to grab right now. Many of them are independents. Harry Enton says, he's the CNN number cruncher. He says, look, when you look at independents, the trend is toward Trump.
You look at September of 2024, a month ago, Kamala Harris was up 5 points among independents. You look now, though, she's only up by 2 points among a key bloc center of the electorate, down 9 points from Biden was at the end of the 2020 campaign. Of course, this is a national picture. This is a national picture. What is going on in those key battleground states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, the Great Lakes, that blue wall, right? Joe Biden last time around won him by 5 points over Donald Trump. Look at where we are today. This is the type of movement Donald Trump likes to see. Up by a point. Now, of course, that's well within any margin of error, right? But again, it's the movement. It's the trends we're looking at. And when you flip a group from going +5 Biden to now +1 Trump, that's the type of movement Donald Trump loves to see.
What do we know about candidates who have won or lost independents in the past?
Usually the way independents go, so goes the nation. Normally, when you win independents, it's a very good sign for your chances to win the election.
Do we have any sense among the people who are identifying as independents now what they're saying or how they're feeling or why we're seeing this?
Yeah, why are we seeing this movement in the electorate, perhaps away from the Democrats towards Donald? View is too liberal, right? Are you out of the mainstream, perhaps? 38% said that of Joe Biden back in 2020. Now that number is up to 48% for Kamala Harris versus the 40% or so who see Trump as too conservative. The bottom line is Harris may be a little bit too out of the mainstream, at least compared to Donald Trump when we're talking ideologically speaking.
I think he's right about that. That's the way it feels. By the way, here's a little tidbit you're not going to hear in many places. Kamala Harris has surrendered effectively in North Carolina, withdrawing nearly $2 million in planned ad spending in the state of North Carolina. This from Breitbart. Kamala Harris waving the white flag in North Carolina, surrendering the state to former President Donald Trump as her campaign withdraws nearly $2 million in planned ad buys from television stations statewide just 1 week before the election. More than $1.7 million in canceled ad buys by Harris's campaign in North Carolina suggests that her team believes, given the polling data and early vote data, that the Tar Heel state is no longer in play for her. Trump's senior campaign advisor, Chris LaCivita, jumped on the news on Tuesday morning, celebrating Harris's team giving up on the state 1 week before the election. More than 3 million people have already voted in early voting in North Carolina, which can be done via mail-in, absentee ballot, or via in-person locations around the state. Republicans, interestingly, for the first time ever, actually lead the early vote in North Carolina. North Carolina provides the partisan breakdown of Democratic data on early voters in the state, something they've done now for more than a week. This remarkably consistent GOP lead has shocked political observers and comes as demographic data also suggests Democrats face serious issues in competing at the top of the ticket in the state. Black voter turnout down approximately 3% from 2020. About 1% more men than women as compared with 2020 are voting in the state. These strong headwinds against Harris in North Carolina were proving to be a major issue for her in the closing days of the campaign, as she was set to flip the only battleground state out of 7 nationwide that Trump won in 2020. For comparison purposes, again, Trump won North Carolina in 2020, and the electorate, per the early voting data based on millions of votes cast so far, suggests a much more GOP-friendly electorate than that took place in 2020. Okay. That's North Carolina, big battleground state, very important. Listen to this. This is huge. Republicans get a boost in Nevada with 5-point early voting lead. Well, Republicans never vote early like this. After 9 days of early voting in the Silver State, Republicans hold a lead of 5.3 percentage points as the country races toward November 5th, per an analysis by the Nevada Independent. The news could spell a boost for former President Trump and Republican candidates down the Nevada ballot, including Senate hopeful Sam Brown, who's running to unseat Jackie Rosen. I know people want to compare this year to 2020 or 2022, but at the risk of repeating myself, this is a unicorn year. We have never seen this, said John Ralston, the outlet's editor who has covered Nevada politics for over 30 years. Votes for Republicans accounted for 39.7% of the statewide total cast through Sunday, compared to Democrats at 34.8%. As one of the top experts on Nevada politics, Ralston pointed to an unprecedented turnout pattern in Clark County as an argument that Republicans have reason for confidence in the Silver State of Nevada. Wow. Nevada's most populated county has traditionally been a Democrat stronghold, yet Republicans held an early voting turnout edge of between 8 to 9 percentage points by Monday evening. So there's North Carolina looking good, and there is Nevada looking good. And again, as I mentioned, 50 million Americans have already cast their ballots, and some states do break it down, Democrat versus Republican, how many people have cast their ballots. They don't tell you how they voted, just, what party that they are in, and you can draw your own conclusions from that. In the state of Tennessee already, you ready for this? 1.7 million people have already cast a ballot. 1,742,451. We're on track to hit 2 million by Thursday, the 31st, when it will come to a close. Voting in Tennessee is 5.3% under 2020. But remember, that was the COVID election, and a lot of people voted by absentee ballot in that election. So it would be hard to beat that year. But if you look at 2016, our early voting numbers are 32% higher than in 2016. We've had a 51% turnout already in Loudoun County. Williamson County, just under 50% of people have already voted, 47.5%. In Wilson County, it's 46.3%. In Davidson County, right, which is, really blue, only 30.94%. They're about 20 points behind, let's say, what's going on in Loudoun. That is 18% under what they did in 2020 when everybody voted early. So a really sort of miserably low turnout in Davidson County, which tells you something about enthusiasm here in the state of Tennessee. Let's see, what else have I got here? Arizona. Here are the Real Clear Politics battleground averages going forward, and these are the numbers that matter. Arizona, Trump up by 1.3. Georgia, Trump up by, on average, 2.3. Michigan, they have Harris up by 0.3. Pennsylvania, on average, Trump up by 0.4. North Carolina, Trump up by 0.9, but as you have heard, the trend there looks really good for Trump. Nevada, Trump is up by 0.7 in the polling. If you look at the general election average, Trump leads in the nation by 0.1. And the battleground average, he leads by almost a point, 0.9. So if you look at the polling data, the polling data are very tight, very, very tight, well within the margin of error. I like the trend. I like some of the anecdotal stuff we're getting. I like some of these early voter turnout signs that the Republicans are taking it a lot more seriously than they have in the past. But it is honestly too close to call. The real question, and I hate to keep sounding like a broken record when I say this, but it really is the major question when you're trying to figure out and read the tea leaves and look into your crystal ball. The real thing here that is unknowable is whether or not in all of this polling data, that the pollsters have figured out how to accurately count Republican support because they've missed it the last two elections by a lot. So if they've missed it again, it's going to be a runaway for Trump. If these numbers are somehow accurate, then it's going to be an incredibly tight race and a long night on election night. 20 minutes now past the hour, 3 o'clock on Super Talk. Say, have you heard about the item Costco keeps running out of? It's gold bars. They can't keep them in stock. Gold's breathtaking surge this year to repeated record highs hasn't stopped bullion from flying off the shelves. Gold is not only one of the best performing commodities, it also means that it's outperforming other assets like stocks and bonds. The surge has been driven by its appeal as a safe haven asset in times of geopolitical and economic uncertainty. You know where you can get gold when Costco doesn't have any? My friends at Nashville Gold and Coin. It's what they do. They sell the same high-quality products as other Costco and other online national retailers, but they will not overcharge you, and as a bonus, you'll be supporting a locally owned business. Kyle and Hannah are true experts, and you can count on top-of-the-line, personalized customer service. Nashville Gold and Coin is the best place to buy gold in Middle Tennessee. You'll be dealing with experts instead of some random store clerk with zero knowledge about precious metals. Make an appointment today with Nashville Gold and Coin. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
A Metro police officer had to go to the hospital this morning after his patrol car was slammed by a reckless driver. It's all on dash cam video. You got to hear how this goes down at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That would be Ken Weaver in the newsroom closet, and good to see you this afternoon, Ken.
You too, Brother Brian.
And there in the control room pushing the blinky buttons is Chris Weber. Good afternoon to you, Chris.
Good afternoon.
I apologize in advance. I don't know why. I just woke up with a voice that's a little croaky today.
Man, it sounds good.
Yeah, it's so low today that I can actually do my Richard Sturban impression from the Oak Ridge Boys and go, Papa Mow Mow. That's low. That's as low as it goes. I don't know why it is. I have no idea why it's that way. I don't have any upper register today. I apologize if that's bothering people. Some people may like it. Now, some people may say, come back like that every day, Brian.
That's true.
I don't know.
More soothing to them.
Yeah.
Mr. Sturman, he might be worried you're going to take his job.
Well, if he needs a fill-in, I kept telling the Gatlin brothers that they needed a bass, and that I'd be willing to sing bass for them. Again, I am an honorary member. People don't know this. I am an honorary member of the Gatlin brothers because I got to play with them on stage one time. And, it's something that Rudy doesn't remember at all.
That's how much of an impression you made on him.
I played with them in front of 30,000 people at the down on the mall during the 4th of July one year, and to me, of course, it was like burned in my brain. One of the greatest experiences being on stage with the Gatlin brothers and the Air Force Orchestra behind us, and 30,000 people out on the lawn in the National Mall, and to me, I'll never forget it. And I mentioned it to Rudy. He goes, "No, you didn't. When did you ever play with us?"
They played a lot of shows, Brian.
I guess that's right, but and
yours did not stand out.
That did not stand out at all to them that I was there, and I was, by the way, fantastic. I didn't sing, but I had a guitar solo.
They might have had your mic turned on.
It's entirely possible. That's one of the. Yeah, they said, yeah, he thinks he's playing.
Just let him down. It's okay.
Yeah, if it starts to sound bad, just turn him off. Nobody will ever know. He'll never know. A couple of things here regarding the election here locally in the state and in the state of Tennessee. Mount Juliet, a 16-year-old Old Hickory girl and a 75-year-old Hermitage man have been charged with vandalizing political signs in Mount Juliet. They apparently have tracked them down, and then they these were Trump signs that were sort of vandalized. The party in Wilson County, Republican Party of Tennessee in Wilson County, offered a $1,500 reward for information related to the vandalism of its signs. And they have apparently, it's come through that 2 arrests have been made. Why would you even bother? I mean, come on. I just say, I heard some time back that it's sort of a time-honored tradition to like steal signs, right? And apparently campaigns have been doing that for time immemorial. I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently it's a very regular thing that happens during seasons. It's just considered sort of, each side does a little of it. I don't know why they would even bother, but they do. And but when you vandalize, then that becomes some sort of a hate crime in a way, so very different, I would guess, than just having some disappear. Where do they go? I don't know. But these have been vandalized. And then there's this out of Memphis. We've had several stories here of late where, mail people who deliver your mail, this is the time of year where it's sort of like just before Christmas where they get bogged down with a lot of catalogs and stuff like that they have to deliver to people's homes. Well, this is the season where they're getting a lot of mail to deliver that has to do with campaigns. And I don't know whether they're just lazy or they're trying to have an impact on the outcome of the campaign. But we hear this around this time of around an election of people who are in the mail service dumping their mail somewhere. Yesterday we had a story where it was happening. Somebody dumped it, and 10,000 pieces of mail were dumped in a river or something. Here it is in Memphis. Some mail for people in Tennessee seemed to have reached the wrong address after being found in a dumpster of an Ace Hardware. A manager at the chain's East Memphis location said they saw a U.S. Postal Service postal worker dump bags of mail into their dumpster on Friday around 5. The mail left home was addressed to homeowners in the 38117 zip code. The manager said U.S. postal inspectors investigated where the mail was dumped, and the Office of the Inspector General was contacted for comment about the investigation. It's also, you got to wonder about, this time of year, many people do mail in their ballots. And so, if the mail is being dumped, people are being, in some cases, denied their right to vote. 30 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Nashville, a Metro police officer is out of the hospital. He had to go to the hospital after his patrol car was smashed by a reckless driver he was trying to pull over this morning. Channel 4's Lydia Fielder goes through the dash cam video of the whole thing.
That video shows a 22-year-old man driving that car. He has turned himself in this afternoon for ramming his car head-on into Officer Joe Medina's patrol cars. This was around 1:30 this morning on I-24 West. You hear the engine rev as the car then spins out and off the roadway here, eventually facing the wrong direction. At this point, the officer stops, and the man drives around behind him before coming back into sight again, spinning out, doing donuts. Watch and listen to the moments that follow when he slams head-on into the officer's stopped patrol car. That driver faces 4 charges now, including aggravated assault on an officer.
Yeah, police say this all started on Korean Veterans Boulevard overnight around 1:30. And again, that officer is out of the hospital. After delivering a speech about infrastructure in Baltimore today, President Biden made a stop at a local ice cream shop. While there, a member of the White House travel pool was asked for his thoughts, or rather, he asked him for his thoughts on the movement of North Korean troops in Russia amid the war in Ukraine.
Mr. President, are you worried about the North Korean troops in Kursk, in Russia?
I'm concerned about it, yes.
Should the Ukrainians strike back?
They crossed into Ukraine, yes.
Actor Tarek Gar has died. Her autobiography called Speed Bumps, Flooring It Through Hollywood, came out in 2005. And in this TV cable show interview, Gar was asked about being drawn to comedic roles.
I got a lot of offers to do things that were in the comic vein. So it was great fun to be able to do those things. And I love comedy. I enjoy laughing, oddly enough. So I did it a lot.
I thought she was pretty good at it in Young Frankenstein, Tootsie, Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Mr. Mom. Her publicist says Gar died of multiple sclerosis. Surrounded by family and friends today, she was 79. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, the slow go out of town to get home has started. Now, we've got a crash 40 eastbound at the Elm Hill Pike overpass. Then west of Nashville in Hickman County, they're still working that overturned vehicle that has Highway 48 southbound north of 40 shut down there in Dixon. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, the Wellness Institute of Nashville is proud to sponsor our election coverage out at the Wilson County Fairgrounds. And as a pillar of our community, they're also stepping up to aid flood victims. You can visit their booth at the event and participate in a unique auction. Wine bottles salvaged from the floodwaters, autographed by SuperTalk 99.7 WTN folks. All proceeds will benefit flood relief. You can contribute with a donation to the event. Now, you know the Wellness Institute of Nashville is the place I go to for my spinal decompression treatments. They have state-of-the-art facilities, the latest high-tech equipment offering the latest non-surgical procedures. Because getting better is important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they're offering half off spinal decompression treatments and half off the KT knee machine. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville, so call them today, 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand from 99.7 WTN. If you're thinking about advertising this year in 2025 and beyond, you have to combine the power of radio with the power of digital. We do it here flawlessly, and our sales team can hook you up with a package tailored to your exact needs. So if you want to advertise with me. Advertise with 99.7 WTN. Go to the website for more info, 997wtn.com/epic.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about Spice and Easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Now listen. Papa, mow, mow. Papa, mow, mow. I can do it today. I can do it.
Oh, if only that slight delay just ruins it between the music and you.
Yeah. Apparently, I'm like a few thousandth of a second behind you. Sorry about that. but I hit the note.
You did.
You kind of sound like a big bullfrog doing Elvira.
I don't know. I don't know where. I don't know why it says. Giddy up, papa, mow, 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 mow. All right, thanks enough of that. Let's there we go. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a serious guy today. You know, I got stuff to talk about that's serious. You can't have no Oak Ridge Boys stuff.
Oh, you started it.
I know I started it, but that was during the hellos. You know, segment B, 3B is always saying hello, catching up with with everybody. It's not a serious moment. When you get to segment D and C, then you got to get into your serious stuff. IRS whistleblowers have been talking to Catherine Herridge, who now does freelance investigative journalism. And I have two whistleblower stories that are going to blow your mind here today. Two IRS whistleblowers have claimed they were banned from investigating Joe Biden amid the government's probe of his son Hunter. Well, we've heard about these guys before. Gary Shapley and Joseph Ziegler sat down with veteran journalist Catherine Herridge for an interview in which they claimed the IRS looks the other way when it comes to the country's powerful elite, which they call sensitive persons. Ziegler said prosecutors specifically told the IRS investigators they didn't want to ask about the big guy because they knew the big guy was Joe Biden. The whistleblower said the IRS, the FBI, and the DOJ knew Hunter Biden's laptop was real, but they were not allowed to look into it. There were a lot of overt investigative steps that were not allowed to take place because we had an upcoming election. The whistleblower said they'd been punished for speaking out about the IRS treatment of Hunter Biden. The IRS has a smothering blanket on me, hoping that I quit, that they find some way to terminate me or commit suicide or something, said Shapley. Ziegler, on his part, said he's up against a machine that has millions of dollars that has the ability to fight me. They do feel vindicated that Hunter Biden in the end pleaded guilty to the tax crimes outlined in the indictment against him. And they got an email from their IRS supervisor thanking them for their work on the case. But they said, they were just covering their butts because the inspector general was looking. That's the only reason that they got the letter. But this story right here, another whistleblower story. I've only found one reading of this, but I know the reporter. She's very good, works for the Washington Times. Her name is Carrie Pickett. When she writes something, I tend to believe it's probably true, and she's done her due diligence in the reporting. The House Judiciary Committee is examining a new whistleblower report that the FBI targeted Donald Trump soon after he announced his presidential campaign in June of 2015. This is the first campaign. An off-the-books operation ordered by FBI Director James Comey that predated the much-discussed Crossfire Hurricane operation. An FBI agent involved in the probe revealed the off-the-books criminal investigation on Tuesday in a protected disclosure given to the committee. The whistleblower disclosure said, you ready for this? Pay attention. 2 female FBI undercover agents successfully infiltrated Mr. Trump's 2016 campaign at high levels and were directed to act as quote-unquote honeypots while traveling with Mr. Trump and his campaign staff on the trail. According to the disclosure, which the Washington Times has reviewed, the investigation differed from the later Crossfire Hurricane counterintelligence operation targeting Russian collusion. It said the early off-the-books probe was a criminal investigation targeting Mr. Trump and his 2016 presidential campaign staff. The agent personally knew that Mr. Comey ordered an FBI investigation against Trump and that Mr. Comey personally directed it. The off-the-books investigation did not appear to target a specific crime, but was more of what agents would describe as a fishing expedition to find something incriminating about Mr. Trump. The Times reached out to the FBI and James Comey for comment. They had none. The House Judiciary Committee spokesman said the committee received the whistleblower allegations and plans to look into them. The undercover operation, according to the whistleblower, was hidden from Justice Department Inspector General Michael E. Horowitz, who investigated misconduct in the Bureau's probe of the Trump campaign. The whistleblower disclosure said the secret investigation may indicate institutional bias against Mr. Trump, though it does not appear that any information about his investigation was turned over to Trump's criminal defense counsels. Former FBI Assistant Director Chris Swecker said the report, if true, is a booming, egregious violation of the rules governing both the Attorney General and the FBI. It would be an unpredicated infiltration of a presidential campaign, which is sensitive. It's sensitive to the point where it would have been approved by the Attorney General and would have to be predicated. In this case, I'm not hearing any predication. It would have to be on the books anyway. But apparently they say it was off the books. The earlier off-the-books investigation, according to the disclosure, had no predicated foundation, so Mr. Comey personally directed the investigation without creating an official case file in Sentinel or any other FBI systems. Wow. The disclosure notes that the FBI has multiple methods of concealing highly sensitive investigations, so Mr. Comey did not have a legitimate reason to not create a case file in the FBI system. Also said to be involved in this, Deputy Director David Bowditch, an assistant director in charge of the Washington field office at the time, Paul Abate. The undercover honeypot agents targeted Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos, according to the whistleblower. Mr. Papadopoulos pled guilty to the felony charge of making false statements into the FBI in October 2017 and was pardoned by Trump in 2020, 2 years after he served his 12 days in federal prison and was placed on a one-year supervised release. Well, anyway, it was all apparently aimed at Papadopoulos, who was actively involved in the campaign at that time. This is interesting. The FBI whistleblower said the off-the-books investigation was closed because a newspaper obtained a photograph of one of the undercover agents and was about to publish it. The FBI press office, according to the agent's disclosure, misled the newspaper by claiming the photograph was of an FBI informant, not an undercover agent. The FBI said the informant would be killed if the photograph were published. Additionally, the FBI employee alleged that one of the undercover agents agreed to be transferred to the CIA so she would not be available as a potential witness, and another Bureau employee involved in the operation was rewarded for her activities with a promotion and is now, you ready for this, now a high-level FBI executive. The FBI employee who filed this with the congressional as a whistleblower personally observed one or more employees in the FBI being directed to never discuss the operation with anyone ever again, which included talking with other people involved in the operation, the disclosure states. Wow. Just wow. I mean, you know, it's so long ago, people have forgotten about Comey and all of his stuff. But if this story is true, it would raise all kinds of red flags about what the FBI was doing. To me, it smacks of criminal activity. That the director of the FBI, James Comey, it is alleged, had an off-the-books investigation into the Trump campaign targeting who knows who, but it was, as they say, a honeypot operation aimed mostly at Papadopoulos, who ended up, you know, spending time, a few days in jail before he was pardoned. But, you know, Papadopoulos never did the things that they truly accused him of. They were never able to make a case against him in regards to that. What they got him on was apparently what you call a technical, you know, violation during some kind of interview they did with him later, where he apparently did not tell the complete truth about some matter. But anyway, it was like they caught him in a lie, some kind of technical lie, and that's why he had to do 12 days in prison. But they never really got him on the thing that they accused him of. But this was all before the Russian collusion investigation and all of that. That was all the predicated, that all happened beforehand, if this is true. And again, I can speak with personal knowledge about this reporter, Carrie Pickett, and the fact that she is examining something that has been handed over to a congressional committee. And I think this is going to be one of those things that may pop up in a few days as a much bigger story. You can find it if you want to look at it in your own time at thewashingtontimes.com. The headline, Whistleblower James Comey had FBI honeypot spies infiltrate Trump's 2016 campaign. 50 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Let me tell you about King & Associates Insurance in Brentwood. Been around for over 25 years as an independent agency, and that's what you want. An independent agency doesn't have to look at one product they have sitting on the shelf. They have the ability to look at all kinds of different products from a bunch of different people, and they can select the one that best fits your need. What do you want? You want the best insurance you can get for the least amount of money. Isn't that what we all want? Right. Well, they can shop around and find one that really fits your need, and you get more bang for your insurance buck that way. And if you call this number, 615-329-8121, you won't reach a call center. You'll reach an actual human being, a person who will answer your questions. No phone messages, we'll get back to you. No phone tree, no waiting for hours to get a question answered. Just somebody who will help you. Known for their multi-policy discounts, they can save you in some cases 20, 25, 30, 35%. Huge savings possible with bundling, so you might want to look at that. Get your royal review with King & Associates Insurance. Log into tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance & Associates, you'll get royal treatment and great rates.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Hear what it was like when a reckless driver slammed into a Metro police officer trying to pull him over overnight. That's coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, let's take a look, if we can, over at the market, see how the day went. Mixed boards today. Dow Jones Industrial down 154. The S&P up about 9 points. The NASDAQ had a record day, closing up 145 points. So mixed board, what's driving all of this? I think there was some reporting that came out today. Let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management to find out more about all that. Hello, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yep, you're right. NASDAQ had a record close. That's in anticipation of the magnificent 7. 5 of those report earnings. In fact, after the bell today, Alphabet beat earnings by quite a bit, $88 billion plus, which is a 37% increase in profits. That's up in the after hours. Interestingly enough, oil prices, with maybe some things settle down a little bit in the Middle East, hit a 7-week low today, and then September job openings also hit a 3.5-year low, and surprisingly, consumer confidence was much higher than expected. So the market's really going to cheer that over the next couple of days. Earnings are going to continue to roll in. We get an ADP and employment report tomorrow, and GDP. So those are things you want to watch really closely.
All right. Thank you very much, John. And to find out what John Maxon and all the other good people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement, just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. It is 58 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock. Grace Point Healthcare provides affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine. Known for their basic smart care plans that start at just $69 a month, includes free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic tests for the entire year. At Grace Point, you're usually seen the same day or the next day. There are no long wait times in the waiting room. Grace Point is your primary provider that treats the entire family from newborns to seniors. You know, we get a certain age, our hormones begin to fluctuate, taking a toll on our lifestyle. Grace Point provides comprehensive hormone testing and treatment for both men and women. Grace Point is a military veteran-owned practice located in the heart of Franklin. The number 599-6868 to schedule your next medical appointment. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. A Metro police officer is out of the hospital after he was slammed by a reckless driver he was trying to pull over this morning. Channel 4's Lydia Fielder describes some of the dash cam video.
Listen to the moments that follow when he slams head on into the officer's stopped patrol car. That driver faces 4 charges now, including aggravated assault on an officer.
Yeah, all of this started on Korean Veterans Boulevard around 1:30 this morning. It ended on I-24 overnight. That officer, again, having to go to the hospital. He has since been released. That driver apparently turned himself in this afternoon. A Georgia funeral home owner facing 17 counts of abuse of a dead body, and several families seeking answers after investigators say 18 decomposing bodies were found at Johnson's funeral and cremation services. Former customers like Janelle say they had to threaten legal action just to get something simple like a death certificate.
I came out here many mornings and he wasn't here. Wouldn't open the door. His vehicle would be in the back, but he wouldn't come to the door when you called him on the phone. And I just had to tell him I'm going to have to get a lawyer, you know. And finally he got my death certificates just a couple of days before the year was up.
Election 2024, if you're planning to mail in your ballot this year, today's the last day to request one in Tennessee. Here's Sherry Preston.
The U.S. Postal Service has made it pretty clear in this PSA that your ballot should be in the mail by midnight.
For domestic, non-military voters using the mail to return a ballot, we recommend that you mail your completed ballot before Election Day and at least a week before the deadline by which your mail-in ballot must be received by your local election office.
Some states have recommended that your ballot should already be in the mail if you want to make sure your vote is counted on Election Day.
Right now in Tennessee, hemp growers and retailers trying to raise enough money to sue the State Department of Agriculture over rules they say will make the flower illegal because it will exceed allowable THC limits if you try to smoke it. They say it's going to devastate the industry and the customers who rely on the product for pain management, anxiety, or other problems.
I think they would be blown away with the diversity of people that use these products and why they're using it. It's not about getting high. It's about wellness.
That's James Goff, owner of the Sparta Smoke Shop, telling News 2 nobody from TDA has actually said this is what you can do, this is what you can't do going forward. And actor Terry Garr has died, known for her roles in Tootsie, Mr. Mom, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Listen to this clip with Garr and Gene Wilder in the Mel Brooks comedy Young Frankenstein.
What knockers? Oh, thank you, Doctor.
Her publicist says Garr died of multiple sclerosis, surrounded by family and friends. She was 79. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, the usual slowdowns in play, especially if you are going eastbound on 40 to get to 24 and then 440 to get to 24. And, of course, eastbound 24, you're going to be a stop and go until Briley Parkway. It'll clear up a little bit, then it'll be back to stop and go once you get to Antioch. And then out west of Nashville in Hickman County, looks like southbound 48 still closed due to that overturned vehicle just north of 40. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spice and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market.
It is 7 minutes after the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7, 29th day of October. We got 1 week, and our long national nightmare will be over. Well, no, it probably won't be over, but it'll be will be starting to be over. I can tell you this. In 1 week, we'll no longer have to watch Marsha Blackburn break plates on TV. That'll be in 1 week. Early voting goes through Halloween, so what you got, if you still got time today, tomorrow, and then Thursday. Thursday is the last day of early voting in the state of Tennessee, and boy, I tell you, people have been at it. We're on track for 2 million by the time we get to Thursday, I'm imagining. And already 1.7 million people in the state of Tennessee have cast their ballots. Good job, y'all. Stay after it. I was very sad, Ken Weaver, to hear about the passing of Terry Garr.
Yeah.
I mean, I as a young man, she was sort of my movie star crush, if you know what I mean. I mean,
yeah.
She was the best, and she, my favorite movie of hers is the one that you pulled that sound clip from Young Frankenstein, one of my all-time favorite movies. And so now, I mean, we're just sitting here thinking, we've lost. Peter Boyle, we lost Gene Wilder, we lost Madeline Kahn, we lost Terry Garr.
Yeah.
Marty Feldman.
Marty Feldman is dead. So the only person that's alive is Mel Brooks.
Yep.
Mel Brooks.
He's the only one left.
He's older than all of them.
No, he's in his 90s.
He's 98.
Yeah.
98 years old, Mel Brooks, and still got it. Still a funny guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, boy, was that a great movie. I don't. There was a pizza place that back in the day when you had VCRs, VHS VCRs and Beta VCRs. There was a pizza place in my hometown where you could go and they played that on a loop.
Nice.
And I just I love that movie so much. There's so much to like about it. Probably couldn't be made today.
No,
like
chance.
Blazing
No,
Saddles
sir.
could not be made today. But boy, back in the day, that was funny stuff, really. I mean, but she was really struggled in her last years with MS.
Boy, she did, man.
And but boy, what a career, and how funny was she? I mean, she was just the best. Let's turn into to talk a little bit more about political news. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the courts right now. I want to make sure you know about this. And this is probably going to end up at the Supreme Court, I think, because now we have two different rulings from two different appellate courts. And really, they need to get on it if they're going to do it. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, which covers Mississippi, Texas, and Louisiana, ruled on Friday that election officials should not count mail-in ballots that are postmarked after Election Day. Now, the ruling is not technically in effect immediately, as the panel of judges sent the issue to a lower court for further consideration. But the decision will most likely be appealed to the Supreme Court. And they were, I mean, the Fifth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals said, look, I mean, the way I look at it, the day of the election is Election Day. And if you don't have your mail-in ballots in by Election Day, they should not be counted. But almost half of U.S. states accept and count mail-in ballots received after Election Day, although many require them to be postmarked on or before the actual date of the election. Alaska allows for 10 days, as long as the ballot is postmarked on or before Election Day. The grace periods are usually put in place for locations where there may be Postal Service issues due to extreme weather, like you might have up in Alaska. But the Fifth Circuit Unit Court of Appeals said no. Election Day means Election Day, and then you got this same issue being considered by a different court regarding Nevada. And this is a story from the Federalist. The Nevada Supreme Court ruled on Monday that mail-in ballots lacking a postmark may be counted in the days after the election. In its decision, the Silver State's High Court denied the declaratory injunctive relief sought by the Trump campaign, Republican National Committee, Nevada GOP and state resident, in its challenge to Nevada's counting of non-postmarked ballots. State law stipulates if a mail ballot is received by mail not later than 5 p.m. on the third day following the election and the date of the postmark cannot be determined, the mail ballot shall be deemed to have been postmarked on or before the day of the election. Unlike most states, Nevada requires local clerks to automatically mail a ballot to all individuals listed on the state's active voter registration list during each election cycle. Did you know that? Everybody automatically gets one in the mail. Gee, nothing could possibly go wrong with a plan like that, huh? According to Monday's ruling, the office of the Democrat Secretary of State, Cisco Aguilar, has interpreted the statute such that mail without a postmark that is received by 5 p.m. on the third day following the general election must be counted. Well, there is just all kinds of room for shenanigans in a deal like that. Oh, look, we found all of these ballots. I'm sorry, they don't have a postmark on them. We don't know when they were mailed or if they were mailed, but you got to count them now. So will the Supreme Court step in? I'll tell you, the Supremes are very loath to get into, they don't like to get into cases that are election related, especially this close to an election. But it seems to me that this needs an answer. And it doesn't impact anything because, you know, either they get there by Election Day or they don't. It doesn't deny anybody the right to vote as far as I can tell. It simply, you know, makes a determination of what the law requires when it comes to counting of ballots. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Virginia has filed an emergency stay with the Supreme Court over their case, an emergency petition with the Supreme Court Monday after a lower federal court forced the state to put non-citizens back on the state's voter rolls before Election Day. Let me see, I've got the details here. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin has been fighting back against the ruling, which was imposed after the Biden Department of Justice sued the state by noting that the state law requiring non-citizens to be removed from the voter rolls was signed into law by a Democrat. Let's be clear about what just happened. 11 days before a presidential election, a federal judge ordered Virginia to reinstate over 1,500 individuals who self-identified as non-citizens back onto the voter rolls. Almost all these individuals had previously presented immigration documents confirming their non-citizen status, a fact recently verified by federal authorities. Wow. Again, will the Supreme step in? I don't know. They have a history of not getting involved when you get this close to an election. But I mean, usually it's like, you know, it's usually about cases about, are these people authorized to cast a ballot, right? But this is about non-citizens, people who've already signed a piece of paper saying they are not citizens. I guess I don't know how you solve this problem. But again, that's something that needs some attention. Democrats alarmed Harris's economic message is not breaking through. Democrats apparently frustrated that Vice President Harris hasn't done more to sell her economic message and worry that former President Trump continues to have a sizable advantage on what many voters say is their number one issue. Harris has focused on attacking Trump in recent weeks, but she has lost ground during the polls as voters say they are less likely to be motivated by additional criticisms of Trump, whose flaws are well known after standing in the national spotlight for more than 8 years. So today, on the National Mall, on the Ellipse, which is the same place that Donald Trump gave his January 6th speech. Is she going to make reference to that? Probably. You know where that's coming. She's going to give what is called her closing argument. Her closing argument of late has been Donald Trump is a fascist. And you know what has happened? The trend toward Trump and away from Harris has accelerated during that time period. And it's not working. And, you know, it's like he's a Nazi? Really, he's a Nazi. You know, that's the best you got. You can't vote for him. He's a fascist. I think people know that Trump is not a Nazi, that he's not Hitler. I mean, come on. It's an act of desperation. And people, I mean, I think there's a difference between criticizing the policies of the person you're running against and criticizing the individual. Criticizing. But when it gets into name calling and you say this person is a Hitler, come on. It's not going to land, and everybody knows that you're desperate. I mean, you know, we have this, and we have Debbie Dingell saying that, Donald Trump, when he becomes president, is going to round up all the Democrats and put them in internment camps. Come on. Really? I mean, it's ridiculous. So I can understand why some Democrats are upset she hadn't talked about the economy. The message has not gotten through. But you know what? I think that the cake is baked pretty much with a lot of this election right now. People know Donald Trump. They know what he is. And is he a perfect man? No, he's not a perfect individual. And people who support Trump know that. But they like his policies. And she took the limited time she had. She did not make a strong enough case for why she was the better solution. You know, she never told them what she was truly going to do with the economy, just that, well, we're going to make sure that prices come down. Oh, we're going to make sure that housing is cheaper. All right. You know, I need a little more. Like, you know, there's a big part of that equation missing. How are you going to do that? And, you know, I think people know that it's Democrats promising the world, but they don't really have a detailed plan. And if they did have a plan, the most damaging argument you can make against it is, well, why didn't you implement it before now? If you had a way to solve this problem, why did you not implement it? Why did you make us suffer so? And, you know, it's just not selling. But anyway, out there on the Ellipse today, I don't know, I think it's around 6 o'clock or so. East Coast time. We may see a little of it during this program. She's going to make her final argument. It'll be interesting to see whether she tries to make the case that she really can resolve some of the issues that she sees, or if she's just going to continue the name calling. You may see it online. You may see it. There is an image of Kamala Harris wearing a McDonald's uniform. But it's photoshopped, ladies and gentlemen. It's not even a good one. In a desperate attempt to prove she worked at McDonald's, Democrats rapidly circulated an image pertaining to show. That's not the right word. Pertaining is not the right word. An image that shows Kamala Harris in her McDonald's uniform over the weekend. Democrats had hoped the picture, which was taken 3 months to emerge, would quash the rumors that she lied about her previous life working the fryers at McDonald's. The image shows a young-looking future vice president standing joyfully in front of a chest of drawers, donning a blue uniform with the stripy sleeves. Harris sports 2 badges. One seemingly is a Big Mac badge, while the other is a name tag, typically is not identifiable. There's a problem. The image has clearly been photoshopped, made evident by the fact that another near-identical photograph of a white woman and a McDonald's uniform circulated at the same time. In other words, Democrats lied to disprove the belief that Harris had lied about her previous job, and they didn't even do a very good job of it. I mean, I'm telling you, have you seen the image?
Yes, I've seen it.
It's a pretty bad Photoshop. But, I mean, that's how desperate they are. They're very desperate right now. Look, this election, don't take anything for granted. Yes, I like the trend, but, man, the numbers are tight. I mean, really tight. Here in Tennessee, cast your ballot. And if you know anybody in a battleground state, make sure they go out and vote. Unless they're going to vote for Harris, then tell them, you don't care whether they vote or not. Doesn't matter. No, I can't say that. It's 21 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. If you've lived here for a long time, you know about URFARB, the place in Middle Tennessee to go for your European car repair for now 24 years. 24 years. And we've all watched them grow over the period of time. And I don't know about you, but it's great when a hometown business takes off. Well, the folks at URFARB want you to know about their latest location, a 5th location in Mount Juliet for URFARB on Mount Juliet Road, right across the street from the Dairy Queen. URFARB can serve you now in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and Mount Juliet. It's pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic who started in a barn in the backyard of a single-wide trailer grow to 5 locations, now repairing thousands of cars. I said thousands of cars each month. At URFARB, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. All you got to do is call this number, 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX. Or visit myurofix.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
And the U.S. Supreme Court makes a decision that could impact one of the election 2024 battleground states. That report and some money news coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Let's call it 26 minutes now past the hour, 4 o'clock. Brian Wilson in the chair and on the air all the way till 7 o'clock tonight on this 29th day of October. Still got a beautiful day on tap, 77 degrees, abundant sunshine. You may notice that I am in the studio here, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, without the company of a well-known French bulldog. She wouldn't come with me. She just is like, too nice.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stay out here.
Yeah.
She's got the right idea.
She got the right idea, I'll tell you for sure.
Might be rabbits to chase out there.
Well, there's something that she's been very interested in the garden. I don't know what it is. But it probably will not turn out well because she tends to eat rabbits. French bulldog is not generally known. French bulldog can run 38 miles an hour.
Wow.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, they're fast.
I didn't know those little legs could move that fast.
They can flat move, especially if they've got something that you're not supposed to have.
Yeah. That's right.
I tell you what, if she gets a little, she has a real fascination with the little yellow napkins that we have. Man, we sit outside sometimes to eat dinner, and we have these little yellow napkins, and she is just fascinated by them. And she will grab them, and it really upsets Cabana Wife quite a bit to have her yellow napkin stolen. And it starts a chase that, I mean, literally, it can go for 30 minutes. And you can't catch her because she's just faster than you are, especially in my advanced age. I can't keep up with her. And she can run through we have a little round table. You've been in my house. You know the little round table in the kitchen?
Yeah.
She likes to run through the legs of the chairs, and you can't get her.
She loves it. She's like, playtime.
And she thinks it's the greatest thing ever. And she's not going to give up until you've got her cornered somewhere. And then she'll drop it and roll over like, don't beat me. But you can't be mad at the dog because it's so funny the way she does it. All right, got some business news here to talk about. Job openings are down. Now, apparently people are feeling a little better about the economy, according to some surveys. But I wonder how long that will last when job openings, do not meet expectations.
Jolts, this is September read. We're expecting a number somewhere in the vicinity of 8 million openings, 7,443,000. And last month was revised. It came in at 8,040,000. It's now coming in at 7,861,000.
Again, they downward revise. They give you these rosy numbers, and then, a few months later when nobody's paying attention, they downward revise the numbers. It's a real trick of the Biden administration.
So this now becomes the lowest read going back to January of 2021, January of 2021.
Yeah, so we're right back where we were with job openings in the beginning, in the middle of COVID, is the way it looks. Okay, the Ford Motor Company lost another $1.2 billion on electric vehicles in the third quarter, according to a press release. Ford's earnings before interest and taxes for the full year is expected to be around $9 billion for Ford Pro, which is the major part of their company where they sell gas engines, cars with gasoline engines. The Model E is the company's EV division. Electric vehicle division is expected to have a loss of around $5 billion for the whole year, according to the press release. They've lost $5 billion. Whew. We are in a strong position with Ford, says Jim Farley, the CEO. And they have done some things of late to try to shore up their EVs. You can get them. They have a long battery. What do you want to call it? Warranty. And then in September, they announced that they would offer free EV chargers and install them in your home for free, which is a big thing because, a lot of people say, well, I've got it. How long would it take me to get my charger installed? And how do I go about all that? It's a roadblock to many people who want to drive electric cars. And so now they will offer no cost the EV charger, and they will install it in your home. So they're hoping that will maybe sell them a few more electric cars. I just don't think there's that much interest in them. But again, that information out from Deb, they've lost so far, I guess in the entire fiscal year, they've lost $5 billion with a B dollars on their EV division. 31 past the hour now. Time for the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now, election 2024, the U.S. Supreme Court rejecting Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s request to come off the ballots in 2 pivotal states.
These moves by the Supreme Court mean voters in the key battlegrounds of Michigan and Wisconsin will continue to have the option of voting for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Kennedy had sought to have officials in Wisconsin put stickers over his name and officials in Michigan reprint ballots. The High Court didn't explain its decisions, but conservative Justice Neil Gorsuch said he would have granted Kennedy's request in Michigan, citing the writings of judges who've argued that denying a candidate the ability to remove himself from the ballot might infringe on his First Amendment rights.
Stephen Portnoy reporting. Meanwhile, former President Trump doing a roundtable in Pennsylvania this afternoon.
We have a real problem. We have to take these criminals out of this country. We have to deport these criminals, and we're going to do it.
Vice President Harris tonight in Washington, D.C. to give what her campaign's calling her closing argument speech. And the race to space. China today launching its Shenzhou 19 mission, carrying 3 new crew members to the country's space station. The team of 2 men and 1 woman replaces the current crew who have been on China's Tiangong space station for the last 6 months. Money News, Dave Packer.
A mixed bag on Wall Street today as the Dow finished lower, even as the Nasdaq closed at a record high ahead of earnings from Google parent Alphabet after the bell, which beat estimates. The Dow down 153 points today. The Nasdaq up more than 145 points, closing at a record 18,712. The broader S&P 500 rose 9 points. Apple announcing its new Mac Mini computers today. Starting price just under $600. The monitor screen, that's extra. Home prices are rising, but not as fast. The S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller National Home Price Index showing home prices in 20 cities across the country rising 4.2% in August, down from a 4.8% annual gain the month before. McDonald's CEO telling investors today the E. coli outbreak is, quote, behind us. The CFO saying he doesn't see the outbreak as having a material impact on business. Quarter Pounders back on the menu in affected areas, minus the slivered onions suspected in the outbreak.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, getting home from downtown right now. You got the usual slowdowns. Right now, westbound 24 in, looks like Smyrna. That thing is got a multi-vehicle crash, and the westbound entry ramp is closed with the right shoulder blocked. That's going to be 24 westbound right there at mile marker 64. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, the upcoming presidential election has many people wondering, how will we be affected? Our money, our investments, even our retirement. Well, you're not alone, but there are steps you can take now to be better positioned, regardless of who wins. You deserve the confidence to know that no matter who the president is, you have a plan that helps you keep your financial goals in line with your life's priorities. If you're in or nearing retirement, Beacon Capital Management has a free retirement-ready toolkit just for you. You'll get a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. No cost, no obligation, and no pressure. All you got to do is call this number to get things started. 615-488-9303. Get your free retirement-ready toolkit. The number again, write it down, 615-488-9303.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spice and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It is 38 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. How you doing? Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock. It's still, it's just a gorgeous day outside. Too nice. We are 1 week away from this nightmare. Well, 1 way from beginning to end. I don't know. I just have this feeling we're not going to know on election night. We may not know the next day. A couple of states, the secretaries of state have already said, hey, maybe we'll get it by Wednesday, Thursday. Some have said it could be Saturday. I hope it doesn't go that long. But I'll tell you, the numbers are tight, and both sides are gearing up for litigious action if necessary. Both Democrats and Republicans, quite frankly. So we'll see how that all works out. But I got to tell you, the fact of the matter is that it's just going to be, we just got to take it as it comes. There's nothing else you can do except take it as it comes, and hope that that this system will bear out a winner in the end. I like the trend, but I got to tell you, I think it's tight. I think it's really tight. In the last couple of days, I've become more convinced. The anecdotal evidence is really good. The trend is really good, but, if you go by the polls, it's tight. And the question is, how accurate are the polls? They have underestimated Trump before. Are they still underestimating him, or have they made corrections? I read one scenario, one synopsis that said that never before, when pollsters have they missed 3 times in a row. Now, we'll see. We'll see whether or not that happens. We're watching it. Let's see what we got here. Harris will be giving her pledge for common ground on the ellipse speech today. I don't understand the idea of a big speech on the ellipse. I mean, obviously, she's going to try to say something about January 6th, which is the same place where Trump gave his speech on January 6th. Investor and television personality Mark Cuban told The Hill on Tuesday that they are shifting to that Silicon Valley leaders are shifting to the right and backing former President Trump. Cuban, the Dallas Mavericks owner and Shark Tank judge, has emerged as one of the vice president's most visible surrogates. So he's very concerned about what's going on with Silicon Valley. We haven't really talked about it because I don't really think it makes a big difference. But this comedian that made the joke at Madison Square Garden about Puerto Rico, can we all agree? I think we can all agree it was a tasteless joke. It really was not very funny, and one way or the other, it did not help at all. Trump said today, I didn't know the guy, I didn't hear the joke, but it happened on his watch, and Democrats are making a lot of hay about it. Do I think it really is going to have an impact? No, I don't think so. I mean, people know that comedians are sometimes looked at and as going a step too far. But does that blow back on the candidate? Well, the Democrats will say that it will, but I don't think that it does. But anyway, we got Mike Johnson in. He's out in Pennsylvania at a Get Out the Event vote, and he criticized the comedian. As a Latina myself, I am concerned about the comments made by a supposed comedian. Somebody in the audience said, an attendee by the name of Ricardo Arroyo. What are we going to do about that? We need to have a strong voice about that because we're making such great advance with Latinos. Johnson echoed a number of other Republicans with a response. I don't think the stupid comments of a comedian that were ill thought will make any difference. I don't think it will make a difference, but I mean, scrub, when you're doing an event at Madison Square Garden, and you're going to put a comedian up there, somebody needs to be checking the material, right, before he goes out there. Harris is haunted by gun buyback views in swing state of Pennsylvania. The Washington Examiner. Harris is tacked to the right on gun restrictions since taking over the Democrat ticket in August. She still supports a ban on assault-style weapons, but no longer says those guns should be turned over in a mandatory buyback program. Harris's reversal is part of an attempt to moderate her image after she ran as an unabashed progressive in her 2019 presidential campaign. However, Harris continues to be haunted by the position as Republicans seek to animate their base a week before Election Day. She did say it. She did say that she thinks we ought to have a buyback for assault-style weapons. And just so you know, Kamala Harris thinks that an AR-15 is an assault-style weapon. And so you can't have it both ways. And I think most people who care deeply about the Second Amendment, this is a real issue for them. The emphasis is natural for Donald Trump Jr., an avid hunter who is barnstormed Pennsylvania on behalf of his father. He's been talking about it a lot. All of those inalienable rights are on the table as far as the Democrats are concerned, and they're telling us that each and every day, said Donald Trump Jr. The warning is the latest example of Republicans using the culture war to stoke Republican enthusiasm in Pennsylvania, a must-win state for Harris on Election Day. Pennsylvania, the numbers that are coming out of there say they're tight. But I like what I'm seeing in the way of early voting in the state. I like what I've seen in the Republican Party and doing their very best to engage and get people registered to vote in a big way. Their numbers there in Pennsylvania are pretty good about getting people to vote. A lot more Republicans were registered to vote than were Democrats, and that is a new thing in Pennsylvania. And they've been actively going after the Amish vote in the central part of the state. Somebody, the Amish sometimes just sit them out. Now, some Amish people vote. Now, they don't vote monolithically. They're not monolithic, but there's some Amish people have voted and participate, and they vote conservative when they vote. But a lot of Amish, the more traditional Amish, have not participated in elections in the past. And I think there's been a movement to get them engaged on the Republican side of the equation. I think it's going to play out well for Republicans. Remember, you got your two major population centers. What they say about Pennsylvania is you got Philadelphia on the right, you got Pittsburgh on the left, and Alabama in the middle. Because the middle part of that state is extremely rural. You got big population centers on both sides, both ends of the state, but the vast majority of the swath of that is very red, and a lot of the people in the central part of the state, well, not a lot of them, but a fair number of them, are Amish. And when they can be convinced to vote, they vote conservative. And I'm really liking the fact that Republicans have been very active in trying to get them signed up to vote and encouraging them to vote. So on Election Day, there'll be a lot of buggies going to vote because they don't vote online. They don't vote early. They just show up in their buggies on Election Day. That's going to be cool. But the gun issue, right, in Pennsylvania, it's a big deal. In Ohio, it's a big deal. And in a lot of those Rust Belt states, outside of the major metropolitan areas, Second Amendment, a big issue. And nobody believes her when she says, I once believed that we should try to buy back your guns. I once believed that we should be able to enter your home to investigate whether or not you have safely stored your guns. But I don't believe any of that stuff now. All right. Harris has faced pushback from many pro-Palestinian voters, frustrated that she hasn't unveiled a policy agenda for U.S. actions in the Middle East distinctly different from President Joe Biden's. She has been a supporter of Israel. Bernie Sanders has been addressing that and trying to, take some of the heat off of Kamala Harris among Democrats, especially you've got a lot of Arab American Democrats in the state of Michigan, in the Dearborn, Michigan area, who are, not very happy with the Biden administration right now, and they need to fix that problem. Bernie Sanders has been out there carrying the water for her on this particular issue.
I understand that there are millions of Americans who disagree with President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris on the terrible war in Gaza. I am one of them. While Israel had a right to defend itself against the horrific Hamas terrorist attack of October 7th, which killed 1,200 innocent people and took 250 hostages, it did not have the right to wage an all-out war against the entire Palestinian people.
Well, a lot of people disagree. He goes on to say they didn't have a right to do this, and they didn't have a right to do that, and they didn't have a right to do this. And he goes on to say, but he thinks that Kamala Harris is still the better option for Democrats.
And let me give you my best answer. And that is that even on this issue, Donald Trump and his right-wing friends are worse. In the Senate, in Congress, the Republicans have worked overtime to block humanitarian aid to the starving children in Gaza.
I don't think that's true. But but we're in the election season, and you can say anything you want to say and get away with it. Nobody calls you out on it. Bernie Sanders trying to fix a problem for Kamala Harris. They're panicked. And let me tell you something that I think is going to happen as long as we got talking about the Senate. I'm pretty sure that Kamala Harris, if she were to be elected, and I don't think she will be, but if that were to happen, she's going to have to deal with a Republican Senate. It's really looking like the Republicans are going to do well in their efforts to take back the Senate. I don't know that they'll hold on to the House, but they're going to be able to take the Senate. It looks, pretty good right now for that. And she can promise anything she wants to promise. But what people have to understand is if you have a Republican Senate, you're not going to be able to get any of that stuff. It's dead on arrival. You can say everything that you want to do. There's some things you can do by executive order, but ultimately, if you're talking about, the things she's been talking about, that's going to require a lot of that's going to require Congress's action, and there's going to be a Republican Senate. That seems pretty clear. So, she can make any promise she wants to make, but at the end of the day, she's not going to be able to fulfill them. And things like trying to do away with the filibuster. She talks about the need to do that. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So, you have to take everything she says with a grain of salt. Except that, don't believe her when she says that she's now pro-gun, because she is anything but that and is on record for years as being anything but pro-gun. She very much is against your Second Amendment rights. 51 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. United Structural Systems, a foundation repair and waterproofing company that has served in Middle Tennessee since 1994. More than 25,000 satisfied residential customers, and I can now tell you that I am one of them. And I am absolutely, completely satisfied with what they've done at my home. Foundation repair, I had the classic stair-step cracks and masonry mortar joints. They came out, they fixed it, they got everything looking. I mean, I'm telling you, I can't even tell where I had the problem before. It looks so good. It looks just like new. Waterproofing, they got underneath my house and said I had a little moisture, needed to take care of it. They put in some sump pumps. They made it a nice dry space, and that's exactly what you need for the long-term health of your family and your house. And the guy was crawling in there named Manny. What a good guy he was. So here's the thing. The other thing you might want to quote to them for, I didn't have this problem, but you might, unlevel sidewalks or sinking slabs or cracks in patio steps and all that kind of stuff. They have a USS Polylift system. They say don't replace it, raise it. They can do it in one day, and you'll be very pleased with the results. Here's the number, 615-488-7855. Learn more about all the things they can do for you to make your house your most important investment, just like new. If you've had some problems, go to USSTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
You know, probably the number one question I get from listeners is how can I get into the conservative fight? Well, it's critical to show and to know where your dollars are going. Most credit cards are funneling millions to the left, but now you have a choice. Coin is America's conservative credit card. You earn cash back while fighting the liberal agenda. Apply now at coin.com. Let me spell that for you. It's an unusual spelling. C-O-I-G-N. The G is silent, but you got to put it in there to get to the website. COIGN.com. I have one in my pocket. You get one in yours. Terms applies. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now I'm seeing that there is a baby powder recall involving products from the Dynarex Corporation. This is an expansion of an initial recall, and it includes baby powder sold in Tennessee. This product was sold online through Amazon. It included 62 cases of Dynacare baby powder involving 24 and 14-ounce bottles. You can get more information on the FDA's website. A Metro police officer is out of the hospital after his patrol car was smashed by a reckless driver he was trying to pull over this morning. Channel 4's Lydia Fielder goes through dash cam video of the whole thing.
That video shows a 22-year-old man driving that car. He has turned himself in this afternoon for ramming his car head-on into Officer Joe Medina's patrol cars. This was around 1:30 this morning on I-24 West. You hear the engine rev as the car then spins out and off the roadway here, eventually facing the wrong direction. At this point, the officer stops, and the man drives around behind him before coming back into sight again, spinning out, doing donuts. Watch and listen to the moments that follow when he slams head-on into the officer's stopped patrol car. That driver faces 4 charges now, including aggravated assault on an officer.
Now, police say all this started on Korean Veterans Boulevard overnight. Right now in Georgia, a funeral home owner faces 17 counts of abuse of a dead body. Several families seeking answers. Investigators say 18 decomposing bodies were found at Johnson's funeral and cremation services. Family members like Jeff and Tiffany Evans beside themselves.
The first reaction was, I hope it wasn't our daughter. But then you realize if it's not your daughter, it's somebody else's.
Election 2024, 1 week until Election Day. Former President Trump holding a town hall in Drexel Hill, Pennsylvania, telling the crowd how Vice President Kamala Harris failed when it comes to illegal immigration.
Venezuela's got half their prison population has been brought to the United States of America and dumped like we're a garbage can, for their people. And these are rough prisoners. These are really rough people. These are not people that you want to say, oh, gee, let's have dinner tomorrow night. These people are tough and mean.
Meanwhile, Vice President Harris preparing for her night in Washington, D.C. She's going to give what her campaign is calling her closing argument speech with 1 week until Election Day. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Crashes getting in the way. Right now, Bellevue, Highway 70 south at Old Hickory Boulevard. Then near the airport, 40 westbound, right there after exit 216A. And in Williamson County, got a crash blocking the right shoulder, 65 southbound, right there at I-840. That's reported by the Highway Patrol. Still working that crash west of Nashville on Highway 48. Southbound lanes are shut down there north of I-40 due to an overturned vehicle. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon. 7 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. The 29th day of October, 1 week left before the election day gets here. We want to remind you, that you need to come out and join us out at the Wilson County Fairgrounds on election night. You could still find details on all of that at 997WTN.com. I'm going to kick off the show at 3 o'clock from Wilson County. And then at some point, Dan and Chris and Matt will join me, and probably in the 6 o'clock hour. And then, as the promo says, I found this out in the promo, but I knew it. We'll be there late into the night, late into the evening.
What does that mean?
I need not one but 2 5-hour energy drinks is what it means. No, that's what this is, our Super Bowl, But what better place to be than with people who see the world the same way that you do, right? And so it's going to be a great big event, and there's plenty of room. I mean, the VIP tickets are all gone, and apparently, they ran out of those goodie bags. They haven't got any more of those.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I was looking forward to seeing one of those, at my desk when I got there, but I don't think that.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was the Lions, pretty riotous, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that ain't gonna happen. But it's going to be a good event, and we're going to be there, and love to have you join us. Think about it. Get details at 99.7 WTN. You don't have to worry. I mean, there's food and there's going to be drink there. You can buy it, and for you and your fam, as many people as you want to bring, I think we can accommodate. We're expecting a good turnout. All right, so let's do a little 2024 news here. I have some numbers to share with you and some other stuff. We're gonna do a deep dive here. I think this may be the most significant story that I've seen today, because when you get down to the last days of a campaign, campaigns have to make a decision, and they often say, well, you know what? We could spend our money here, but we're probably not going to win. So let's take that money and spend it elsewhere. And so it looks like the loser for Democrats is North Carolina. They're basically ceding the state, as it would. A Democrat presidential nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris, waving the white flag in North Carolina, surrendering the state to former President Donald Trump as her campaign withdraws nearly $2 million in planned ad buys from television stations statewide 1 week before the election. What do you want to bet? They're taking the money out of North Carolina and they're going to put it into, I don't know, Pennsylvania? I think that's probably what they'll do. The more than $1.7 million in canceled ad buys suggest her team believes, giving polling data and early voting data, that the Tar Heel state is no longer in play for her. Trump's senior campaign advisor, Chris LaCivita, jumped on the news on Tuesday morning, celebrating Harris's team giving up on the state 1 week before the election. More than 3 million people have already voted in early voting in North Carolina, which can be done via mail-in, absentee ballot, or in person. Republicans, interestingly, for the first time ever, actually lead the early vote in North Carolina, provides the partisan breakdown and demographic data on early voters in the state, something they have done now for more than a week. This remarkably consistent GOP lead has shocked political observers and comes as demographic data also suggests that Democrats face serious issues in competing at the top of the ticket in the state. Black voter turnout in North Carolina down approximately 3% from 2020. About 1% more men than women are voting as compared with 2020. These strong headwinds against Harris in North Carolina were proving to be a major issue for her in the closing day of the campaign, as she's set to flip the only battleground state out of 7 nationwide that Trump won in 2020. For comparison purposes, again, Trump won North Carolina in 2020, and the electorate per party voting data based on millions of votes cast so far suggest a much more friendly GOP electorate than ever before. So that's good. Now, I'm going to tell you 2 stories here. One of them is about North Carolina. The other, where they're talking about early voting and how the state breaks it down by party. Not every state does that. Some states don't give any party information whatsoever. A lot of them don't. But some that do are pretty interesting states like North Carolina and Nevada. Now, in Nevada, the numbers are looking. Let me pull this over here. I found this story. Here it is. Listen to this. This is really good news in Nevada. Over half of Nevada's ballots have already been cast, and early voting is set to end November 1. After the first 9 days of early voting, Republicans hold a lead, this is amazing, of 5.3 percentage points as the country races toward November 5th, per an analysis by the Nevada Independent. The news could spell a boost for former President Donald Trump and Republican candidates down the Nevada ballot, including Senate hopeful Sam Brown, who's running against Jackie Rosen. I know people want to keep comparing this to year 2022, but at the risk of repeating myself, this is a unicorn year. We have never seen this, said John Ralston, the newspaper's editor who has covered Nevada politics for over 30 years. This guy knows Nevada. If you go to the Silver State and you want to talk politics, you got to be talking to John Ralston. He's really considered sort of like the guru when it comes to this kind of stuff. So listen to this. Votes for Republicans so far in early voting accounted for 39.7% of the statewide total cast through Sunday. And for Democrats, it was 34.8%. So they're about 5 points ahead. As one of the top experts in Nevada politics, Ralston pointed to an unprecedented turnout pattern in Clark County as an argument that Republicans have reason for confidence in the state of Nevada. Home to Las Vegas, Nevada's most populated county, has traditionally been a Democrat stronghold, yet Republicans held an early voting turnout edge of between 8 to 9 percentage points in Clark County as of Monday evening. I mean, at some point when you have so many people voting early, and you know how many votes are still out there to be gotten, is it possible that the Democrats can rally on election day? They don't traditionally do that. They vote early. We're voting early this time, and it's paying off. And this guy Ralston is saying, if you're a Republican and you're looking at these numbers in Nevada, then you've got to have a pretty good sense that you're going to be doing okay on election day. So North Carolina, Nevada, battleground states, looking pretty good. By the way, as long as we're talking about early voting, let me brag on you folks here in Middle Tennessee and Tennessee in general. As of yesterday, close of business yesterday, 1.7 million people in the state of Tennessee have voted early. Now, that's on track to have around 2 million by the time early voting ends on Halloween. Now, we are beneath 2020 by about 5 points. But remember, that was the COVID election, and a lot of people voted absentee ballot early. But if you compare it to 2016, which is a much more fair comparison, the early voting turnout in Tennessee is 32% higher than it was in 2016. All right? Listen to this. 51% of the people in Loudoun County have already cast a ballot. 51%. 47.5% of the people in Williamson County have already cast a ballot. In Wilson County, it's 46.3%. So those are some of the top three here in Middle Tennessee in the area. And half of the ballots have already been cast in areas that generally tend to go Republican. So how are the areas that tend to go Democrat doing? Listen to this. This is astonishing. Comparatively, remember, we said in Loudoun County, Loudoun and Williamson and Wilson around between 45 and 50%, right? In Davidson County, it is 30.9. They are down 18% in early voting over where they were in 2020, which was a banner year for early voting. So what that tells me is in the blue areas of the state of Tennessee, not a great deal of enthusiasm. In the Republican areas in the state of Tennessee, a tremendous amount of enthusiasm, with early voting for Republicans much higher than it has ever been. except for that 1 year where we did the COVID voting. So there you go. I mean, we're proud of you for doing that. We still have a few days left. I mean, I guess we're running out of time today, but you can vote tomorrow or you can vote Thursday if you want to vote early. And remember, I think it's a good idea. You know what? The most interesting statistic that I've heard this election cycle, I had not ever heard this number before, and it really tells me a lot. Of the people who say, I plan to vote on Election Day, only about 90% do. Now, that means that 10% do not. They have every intention to go and cast their ballot, but, life intervenes. Things happen. And so they don't get to the ballot, even though they had every intention of doing so. So vote early. I think that's the way to go. I really do. All right. I got some time here to talk about the national campaign and how it's going. Karl Rove believes that Kamala made a big mistake by personally attacking Donald Trump. He says he doesn't believe that is something that will pay out for her over time.
I think she made a big mistake by engaging on the issue of John Kelly's comments about Donald Trump being a fascist. She basically spent 2 days talking about that. And that's not a winning issue for her. Everybody who already thinks that or who will be touched by that is already in her camp.
Well, I mean, of course he's right about that. I mean, if you're going to buy that argument, you already were going to vote for Kamala Harris anyway. So you're not growing your number at all. And he's exactly right.
The problem she's got is that she's been a presidential candidate for less than 3 months. And the American people are saying, do I know enough about you to feel comfortable putting you in the Oval Office behind the Resolute desk for the next 4 years? She made a mistake. That is not a winning issue for her.
I agree. You got Harry Enton, who is the number cruncher over at CNN, talking about how there is evidence that independents are trending toward Trump. Not in a huge way, but, in a close election, every little bit helps.
You look at September of 2024, a month ago, Kamala Harris was up 5 points among independents. You look now, though, she's only up by 2 points among a key bloc center of the electorate, down 9 points from Biden was at the end of the 2020 campaign. Of course, this is a national picture. What is going on in those key battleground states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, the Great Lakes, that blue wall, right? Joe Biden last time around won him by 5 points over Donald Trump. Look at where we are today. This is the type of movement Donald Trump likes to see, up by a point. Now, of course, that's well within any margin of error, right? But again, it's the movement. It's the trends we're looking at. And when you flip a group from going +5 Biden to now +1 Trump, that's the type of movement Donald Trump loves to see.
What do we know about candidates who have won or lost independents in the past?
Usually the way independents go, so goes the nation. Normally when you win independents, it's a very good sign for your chances to win the election.
Do we have any sense among the people who are identifying as independents now what they're saying or how they're feeling or why we're seeing this?
Yeah, why are we seeing this movement in the electorate, perhaps away from the Democrats towards Donald? View is too liberal, right? Are you out of the mainstream, perhaps? 38% said that of Joe Biden back in 2020. Now that number is up to 48% for Kamala Harris versus the 40% or so who see Trump as too conservative. The bottom line is Harris may be a little bit too out of the mainstream, at least compared to Donald Trump when we're talking ideologically speaking.
Well, and that's really what I've been saying from the very beginning. You to win a national election, you can't just carry your party faithful. You've got to go after the middle, and Donald Trump seems to be winning that argument in a big way. And she's not. She is perceived as being outside mainstream political thought. Now, she can say that she's changed her position on this, that, and the other, but the American people are smart enough to know that that's just political talk. I think that she actually sort of gives you a hint when she says, well, yes, I've changed my position on that, but I haven't changed my values. To me, that's a wink, wink, nod, nod. To the people on the left side of the equation that, trust me, I'm just saying these things because I got to get elected. But you know me. Trust me. It's going to be fine. Now, I think most Americans do not believe that she has had these amazing policy transformations, that she really is still outside mainstream political thought in America today. 22 past the hour. Brand new shipments arriving every day at Genesis Diamonds. Rare, precious, natural diamonds straight from the overseas diamond cutters. Rounds, princess cuts, ovals, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, every shape, every size, each one handpicked by Genesis owner Boaz Ramon. And people here know when it comes to diamonds, this is what Genesis does best. Rock bottom prices on exquisite quality. That's extreme value. And on top of that, Genesis has the designer rings that other jewelry stores don't have. Genesis has cornered the market on the top brand in bridal design, names like Tacori and Verragio, so you can get a ring to really be proud of. And no other jeweler gives you the experience of Genesis Diamonds with no commissioned salespeople, no pricing games, no risk whatsoever. They are committed to your happiness and your repeat business, so they go out of their way to make sure you leave with nothing but smiles. Genesis Diamonds, where you get the respect you deserve, the quality you want, the value you need every day. Check them out. Green Hills and Cool Springs, the official jeweler of the Tennessee Titans.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Hey, I'm Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7. And you know, the dual power of radio and digital has always been such a plus for our advertisers. So if you're thinking about your 2025 plans, make sure you check us out at 997wtn.com/epic. Go there now.
Baby powder sold in Tennessee recalled due to a potential contaminant, and former President Trump was fired up before leaving for Pennsylvania this morning. We'll tell you about it at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Ken Weaver, I have great news for you. You're going to love this, because, we all care about, protecting our cushy jobs, right? I mean,
Yes.
we all, that's right. And we in radio, we have cushy jobs.
Oh, we do, indeed.
We don't have to go out and dig ditches. We don't have to really exert ourselves. We just sit behind a microphone and we opine. You read the news. You'll be good to know. You don't opine. You're not allowed to opine.
No.
A Polish radio station said Monday that it has ended an experiment using AI-generated presenters instead of real news people after the move sparked an outcry. Crockow Radio relaunched last week using virtual characters created by AI as its presenters. And the people in Poland did not like it one bit. Across Poland, people were angry, expressing fears that humans were being replaced by AI.
Yes.
The station's editor said in a statement Monday that the aim had been to spark a debate about artificial intelligence and that it had succeeded. There was quite the conversation. He said the experiment had been meant to last 3 months, but he saw no reason to go on. After 1 week, they are back to having real people read the news again.
Excellent.
There you go. I mean, isn't that exactly what you want to happen?
I'm going to go downstairs and tell them.
Yeah, tell them right away that if they have any ideas about having AI read the news. See, I've always felt like, people who do talk radio, who do, opinion, you're going to be protected from that stuff because, you could say a lot of things about artificial intelligence, but the crafting of opinion, not really something you would think that an AI intelligence could do. But, to read copy is not a hard thing. The copy pops up and you have the artificial intelligence read it.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't seem a hard thing. But, people want people to read them the news. People want people. People who need people are the happiest people. What is that song? I forget. People who need people. But that's good news for us. It means that we have job security.
That is real good news because I'm telling you, I do not want to go out and get a real job.
I know.
The good Lord took pity upon me early in life and gave me a voice.
Yeah, he did. And a darn good way of reporting the news. Honestly. I feel blessed to have you on the staff here with us in the afternoon.
I feel blessed to be here with you, Brother Brian.
Yeah, well, thank you much. It's a mutual admiration society. And Chris, you're okay too.
Gee, thanks. Just replace me with AI anytime.
No, that would never work. That would be a disaster. I promise.
Yes, sir, it would.
Here's the thing. As good as AI may get. What happens with computers from time to time?
Mm-hmm.
Not from time to time on our computers. Like 3 times a day.
No, computers stop working from time to time. And if your radio station is all computer based and you don't have people, in the equation, then there's going to be a lot of dead air.
And that's a bad thing.
That's a bad thing. You need to have people in the equation. I always think that AI is going to be, it's going to be great for doing research. It's going to be great for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But it's not going to replace the jobs that a lot of people do. It's just no way that it can. 30 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7.
.5:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now, an update to a baby powder recall. It has been expanded to include products sold in Tennessee. This nationwide baby powder recall involving cases of Dynacare baby powder products that were sold on or after January 18th of 2024. They say go to the FDA's website for information on that. Apparently, some of this baby powder may be contaminated with asbestos. Election 2024, former President Trump in Pennsylvania today. He was fired up before leaving Mar-a-Lago this morning.
So we're going to fight like hell for the next 7 days, and then hopefully, and most importantly, we're going to be fighting even harder for the next 4 years because we're going to turn this around and we're going to make this country greater than it has ever been.
Vice President Harris tonight in Washington, D.C., giving what her campaign is calling her closing argument speech with the White House in the backdrop. And 1 week until Election Day, public safety officials across the country taking steps to protect the voting process. In battleground Arizona, Maricopa County Sheriff Russ Skinner says they'll have zero tolerance when it comes to criminal activity related to the election.
We've been planning this for over a year. We've sat down, we've had communication across all channels, public safety, and obviously our government entities relative to this.
Now, the county recorder's office says measures will also include live streaming video of the counting process. Actress Terry Garr has died, her family says, peacefully surrounded by loved ones at home in Los Angeles. Alex Stone.
Terry Garr's breakthrough role was in 1974 in the Mel Brooks comedy Young Frankenstein. In 1982, she was nominated for an Oscar starring opposite Dustin Hoffman in Tootsie.
Don't get mad at me!
Well, stop being a doormat then!
I'm not a doormat!
In the late 90s, Garr had a recurring role on Friends as Phoebe's estranged mother.
You know, we were always together.
Since 2002, Garr had suffered from multiple sclerosis. It took her life at the age of 79.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Wow, we have some crashes getting in the way this afternoon. Let's start in Nashville, the West Loop downtown, 40 westbound, right before you get to 65. Then just past the airport, 40 westbound, that is reported by police. We've got Rutherford County, 24 westbound at Waldron Road, the right shoulder blocked. Sumner County, got an accident, Long Hollow Pike, just east of Upper Station Camp Creek Road. And Thompson Lane, eastbound back here in Nashville, Thompson Lane eastbound at South Lake Drive. Still working that crash west of Nashville in Hickman County. 48, Highway 48 southbound is shut down just north of I-40 for an overturned vehicle from this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're funding America's future and it's not the future you want for you or your kids? Most major credit cards funnel millions to liberal causes and candidates hoping you don't notice. Take a stand and get the woke out of your wallet. Coin is the conservative's credit card. You earn cash back while advancing a conservative's future. Apply now at coin.com. That's COIGN.com. Terms apply. Go to coin.com /for disclosures do that again. Coin.com/disclosures for full details.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
There it is. The festive music means it's time for the Three Amigos, and the Three Amigos are in the newsroom. Ken Weaver, good afternoon, Ken.
Good afternoon, boys. Yeah.
And they're in the newsroom, and in the control room, rather. Sorry, I'm very distracted by the actions that are going on in the other room.
The gyrations.
The gyrations there of Ken Weaver. There's something to see. But
song.
there in the control room is Chris Webber. He's Amigo number 2.
Good afternoon.
And I am Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy. I'm Amigo number 3. Together make up the Three Amigos. Now, the whole idea here is that we bring weird stories and we let you, we talk about them. Sometimes we never get to all three because we get diverted sometimes. I'd like to start, if you don't mind.
Brother Brian.
I am 6'4", and a lot of people look, say, "Man, you're tall." I hear that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
In my family, I'm not even the tallest person. I have a cousin who's 6'8".
That's
nice.
Yeah, and he lives down in Florida. But listen to this thing. At 7 feet 9 inches, Oliver Rio is the world's tallest teen and an intriguing basketball prospect. At the University of Florida's basketball facility, he has to stop when he walks from his apartment to practice because everybody wants a picture of him. They want a picture standing next to the biggest man on campus, 7'9". He's a Canadian. He owns a spot in the Guinness record book as the world's tallest teenager. Ollie will become the tallest guy to play college hoops, supplanting 7'7" Kenny George at UNC in the 06-08 years. He's 2 inches taller than Manute Bol, 3 inches taller than Yao Meng, Taco Fall, and Sean Bradley. He is a tall drink of water.
Yes, he is.
And I'm telling you, he's actually a pretty nice guy. See, he's Canadian, and all those Canadian people are pretty nice.
Yep.
He has worked hard to prepare for Division I basketball. He's not really expected to be a star, but, how can you ignore a guy who's 7'9"? Listen to this. He grew up in Terrebonne, Quebec, and realized at an early age that he was different. He was taller than most of his teachers in elementary school. He crossed the 6-foot mark at the age of 8.
Ooh.
He topped 7 feet the summer before he became a 7th grader.
That is unbelievable.
7 foot tall in the 7th grade. That's pretty amazing. He says, my mom is 6'2", my dad is 6'8", my older brother is 6'9". At my Meemaw's house, I'm glad he has a Meemaw.
That's a Meemaw.
Everybody needs one of those.
I had a Meemaw. They had a wall where me and my brother used to measure ourselves. Then one day, poof, my brother was gone. He officially outgrew the entire family. He says that he's looking forward to learning more about basketball. He feels like there are moments where he is learning and he goes, wow, that's how you do that. But I mean, at 7'9", he could be an impact player.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He can dunk without leaving his feet.
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of him where he's standing with his arm up in the air and he can touch the rim.
Really?
Just standing there. Yeah.
Just bonk.
Yep.
Yeah. Something I never could do on my best day. He wears number 32 because he's a big fan of Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaq.
Yeah.
Yep.
He says he doesn't seek out attention, but he also doesn't get annoyed at the people that ask. And when you're tall, I mean, the one question everybody asks you is, you play basketball?
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I was 6'4" in high school, and I had no gift for the game whatsoever. And so, people say, do you play basketball? I said, no, I don't. Well, why? You should be playing basketball.
Yeah. Why not?
Because I'm clumsy. That's why. But can you imagine being 7'9"?
It's hard to believe. Like, I can't even imagine standing next to a guy that's that tall.
I'd come up to his knees.
Yeah.
The University of Florida center is 7'7". And he says, I've never had to look up to anybody in my life.
Right.
And now he says it's very strange to look at somebody who's at your eye level or higher because you spend your whole life looking down.
Yep.
Yeah.
The problem is that life is just not made for people that tall. I would imagine it's very difficult for him to do normal things.
Even somebody my size, really, honestly, you have no idea how difficult it is. I wear a size 14 shoe, which is a more common thing than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was a kid, I mean, I would go, like in elementary school, I wore a 12, right?
Yeah.
I had a big foot, and you go in and you don't say, hey, I'd like to get that size in a 12 or a 13.
Mm-hmm.
You say, what have you got in a size 13?
Yeah.
And the answer is, oh, only the ugly ones. And so you end up wearing, and clothes are hard, even at 6'4". I can't imagine. I mean, everything he wears has got to be custom made.
Yeah.
I wonder what he drives.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that's a good one.
I've heard
Sits in the back seat.
Some people take out the front seat and they sit in the back seat. I've heard that, yeah. Get a small car, but they sit in the back seat.
Yeah.
I'll be.
Just imagine trying to shower.
Oh,
the shower head's going to be like at middle of his chest,
It's
probably, at best.
And right in his navel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need one of those detached heads.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
He has
All
to
right. So
sit
there's
down in the
mine.
shower.
That's what I brought today.
Well, I've got one, boys.
All right.
Okay.
And this is kind of serious. I mean, it's strange, but it's serious, too, because we're talking about organ transplants. Organ transplant experts say they're seeing a spike in people who are revoking organ donor registration. This is after reports that organs were nearly retrieved from a Kentucky man mistakenly declared dead.
I saw this.
This happened 3 years ago, but it just came to light in a congressional hearing, and ever since it came to light, people have been canceling being organ donors, and that's got doctors worried because, there are people out there who are depending on organs to live. But what happened is 36-year-old Anthony Thomas, T.J. Hoover, as they call him, woke up multiple times before he was scheduled to donate his organs in Richmond, Kentucky.
Not good.
No. And here's the scary part. There's an investigation into whether or not the doctors were actually seriously checking to see if he was actually dead. Because during his honor walk, which is the ceremony of respect where people gather in the halls of the hospital as the donors move to the room.
I didn't know they did that. That's interesting.
Yeah. He woke up and he began tracking his family members with his eyes. And when his family noticed, they were just told, that's just normal reflex. But his sister, identified as Donna Rohrer, said, I knew something was wrong because he was looking right at me. So I guess she raised a big enough stink that the organ procedure was called off, and Hoover survived.
He's still alive, right?
He's still alive.
Yeah.
He suffers from some brain damage. He has minimal short-term memory. He's able to walk. He's able to feed himself. And if he talks, if you ask him questions, he just can't remember a whole lot. But at least he is alive, and he can hold conversations with people. But since this came to light in this congressional hearing, Donate Life America found an average of 170 people a day have started removing themselves from the National Donor Registry.
Wow.
Not surprising.
Yeah, that's 10 times more than the same week from 2023 last year. And the Kentucky allegations even reverberated into France, where people, up to 100 people a day, have started removing themselves from the donor registry.
Yeah, that's a shame because, that seems like a really unusual, so it doesn't happen every day.
No.
I mean, you hear stories like this. I mean, that's in my entire life, I think that's the only time I've ever heard of something like that happening.
Well, me too. And there is an investigation in Kentucky into these doctors who were just, that's just normal reaction.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, they should know the difference between a normal reaction and someone who's still alive.
Right. I mean, there's protocol to go through, cardiac arrest and then being brain dead, too.
Right.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that fella is still alive.
Wow.
Good thing his sister was there.
Yeah.
Close call. Yeah.
That's
for sure.
right. Yeah. An honor walk, though. I mean, it is a nice thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I love that idea. I didn't know that they did that for people who were donating organs.
Yeah.
Oh, how about that?
That's
all right, it's your turn, Chris. What you
All
got?
right, mine will be quick. Mine is about a couple of trespassing teens and a farmer who may have taken things a bit too far, but I think he got the message across.
Okay.
This one comes from jolly old England. A teen named Leland Hornby and his friend were riding an electric bike on some land one Saturday night, but when they tried to leave, the gate was locked. So they decided to leave the bike behind and return the next morning once the gate had been opened to retrieve the bike. However, when they got back the next day, they found the bike had disappeared. And the teen says, as we walked back, a farmer came up behind us on a quad or a four-wheeler and jumped off and then tackled us to the ground. He said the farmer managed to catch them both before he pulled their hoods. They were wearing hoodies. Before he pulled their hoods over their heads, then hog-tied them both to his quad bike. He then sped off towards the police station, determined to hand the teens in for trespassing.
Wow.
The teen said he was scared about what the farmer was going to do, and he said, we couldn't move. I was on the back of the quad bike, and my friend was at the front. And he says that they weren't even fastened to the four-wheeler. They were just laying on the racks and thought at moments they were going to fall off. Police there did confirm that they were called to the property on a Sunday morning by a man who said he had detained two males that were trespassing. But as police made their way to the farm, the farmer called them again, saying that he had arrived at the police station with the two teenagers. So officers go to meet the man.
Wow.
They find the teens and a man or a teenager and a man in his 20s on a quad bike with their hands and feet tied and not secured to the quad. The farmer was arrested on suspicion of false imprisonment and assault, but was later released on bail pending further inquiries and investigation. No word on whether the teens were ever charged with trespassing or not. But I think it's fair to say these two kids will never go on someone's property that is not their own.
Wow.
Again, I wouldn't think.
I wonder how he kept him from falling off the quad.
I don't know, but that I think he got the message across.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My question is, how had he managed to wrestle them both and hog tie them both?
Well, he must have. I guess sit
he
on
was a
one and
farmer.
tie the other one. I don't know.
maybe he was used to hog tying stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll call it 51 minutes now past the hour. Hey, it's the spooky season. Don't be tricked. Let Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your Rude Pro partner, treat your family with these specials. They won't ghost you. 50% off furnace inspection, 20% off any furnace repair work at the time of service. Includes a check, test, and start only. Additional fee for maintenance and repair work must be done at the time of inspection. $69 for a mainline camera inspection for an outside clean-out. Find out if your drain pipes are clean, cracked, or clogged. Up to $300 off an ultraviolet home treatment system installation, RM2 systems only. And remember, the Beehive Club. As a member, you'll receive 3 annual tune-ups, 1 for cooling, 1 for heating, 1 for plumbing, 10% discount on all repairs, priority front-of-the-line service, $100 annual accrued replacement credit with a $1,000 max, and no overtime or holiday fees, all for as little as $99. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
You know, we have big news from the folks at DT McCall. If you've been thinking about buying a gun safe but putting it off, now is the time to take action. Gun safes are sales tax free. That's right, sales tax free. It's hunting season, so be sure you're keeping your guns safe when you're not in the tree stand with a Liberty gun safe from DT McCall's. DT McCall's is the largest Liberty safe dealer in Tennessee. Why? Well, free delivery and setup. Others charge $500 at least for delivery and setup of the big models, $300 for the small models. DT McCall & Sons delivers every safe free every time, period. No setup charge. Security is important these days, and a Liberty gun safe from DT McCall can be used for other things. Valuables, cash, mama's jewelry, important documents, wills, deeds, car titles, whatever you need to keep safe from theft or fire. So save some big bucks now on your Liberty gun safe when you shop at your local DT McCall's. Just go to dtmccalls.com for locations and information.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories this Tuesday evening. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. A Metro police officer is out of the hospital after he was slammed by a reckless driver he was trying to pull over this morning. Channel 4's Lydia Fielder describes some of the dash cam footage.
Listen to the moments that follow when he slams head on into the officer's stopped patrol car. That driver faces 4 charges now, including aggravated assault on an officer.
Now, a 22-year-old man, he turned himself in this afternoon. All of this started around 1:30 this morning when that officer tried to pull over a reckless driver on Korean Veterans Boulevard. Ended up on I-24 where the patrol car was hit and that officer was injured, but again, out of the hospital this evening. Election 2024, if you're planning to mail in your ballot this year, today's the last day to request one in Tennessee. Sherry Preston has more.
The U.S. Postal Service has made it pretty clear in this PSA that your ballot should be in the mail by midnight.
For domestic, non-military voters using the mail to return a ballot, we recommend that you mail your completed ballot before Election Day and at least a week before the deadline by which your mail-in ballot must be received by your local election office.
Some states have recommended that your ballot should already be in the mail if you want to make sure your vote is counted on Election Day.
By the way, here in Tennessee, the National Conference of State Legislatures says absentee or mail-in ballots must be received by the close of polls on Election Day. Right now in Tennessee, hemp growers and retailers trying to raise enough money to sue the State Department of Agriculture over rules they say will make the flower illegal because when you smoke it, it exceeds the allowable level of THC, devastating the industry and their customers who rely on the product for pain management or anxiety or other health problems.
I think they would be blown away with the diversity of people that use these products and why they're using it. It's not about getting high. It's about wellness.
That's James Goff. He's the owner of the Sparta Smoke Shop. He tells News 2 nobody from TDA's actually said this is what you can do, this is what you can't do going forward now that they've posted those rules. And actor Terry Garr has died, known for her roles in Tootsie, Mr. Mom, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Listen to this clip with Garr and Gene Wilder in the Mel Brooks comedy Young Frankenstein.
What knockers. Oh, thank you, Doctor.
Her publicist says Garr died of multiple sclerosis, surrounded by family and friends. She was 79. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, looking over here on the West Loop, got a crash, 40 westbound, right before 65 west. And then in Williamson County, looks like we've got an accident involving an overturned vehicle. It is blocking the right shoulder, 65 southbound as you're approaching Cool Springs Boulevard. We have the usual slowdowns in place, but brake tapping's lasting a lot longer on 24 eastbound tonight. It's pretty much that way down to Laverne because of a crash on 24 causing some rubbernecking. That crash is westbound 24 right there between Smyrna and Laverne. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is, we'll call it 7 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. Good evening, everybody. I'm Brian Wilson, and you're listening to The Drive for one more hour, our fourth hour on this Tuesday, the 29th day of October. We have it's still 73 degrees outside, very pleasant. I'm sort of liking this weather that we've been having, very, very nice during the day. As I said, I couldn't even convince the bulldog to come to work for me today. We got to the garden, and she just stopped.
That's good enough for me, she said.
Said, no, I don't need to go up there and listen to you yammer on for 4 hours. She sleeps under the couch. She's got such a great life. I wish when I die, I want to come back as a French bulldog. Because I think they have it pretty made. They sleep all day, and then they don't. All they do is take. They don't give.
Oh, come on. Now.
They don't contribute at all, except to occasionally make you laugh or make you angry, one or the other. Anyway, glad that you're with us here on this evening. A lot of stuff still sort of percolating today. The Supreme Court has acted today, late in the day, and has rejected RFK Jr.'s bid to remove himself from ballots in swing states. The Supreme Court did not state a reason for the rejection, but Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch dissented in the ruling in Michigan. The Supreme Court on Tuesday rejected former independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s bid to remove himself from the ballot in Wisconsin and Michigan ahead of next week's election. Kennedy suspended his presidential bid, as you know, earlier this year and endorsed Donald Trump. The states had argued that removing a candidate when early voting has already begun would be impossible, but Kennedy argued that keeping him on violated his First Amendment rights. The Supreme Court did not state a reason for the rejection, but there was a dissent in the Michigan ruling, according to the Associated Press. This account of this coming from our friends over at justthenews.com. We've told you that there's been some weird things happening, where like postal workers are dumping mail. Yesterday we had not one but two stories in the Pacific Northwest, where places where you drop your ballot drop box. Two of them caught on fire. And there are big investigations. I mean, that's a federal offense. You can't do that. It's a big problem if they get caught. They're looking to find out who did it, but they lost a lot of ballots, and they're trying to resolve that issue. We hear all kinds of weird things happening like this. Here's another one. Election worker in Florida has been fired after a bin filled with completed ballots fell off a truck. Well, you heard the old saying about, well, where'd you get that? Oh, it fell off a truck somewhere. Well, I mean, this literally did happen, apparently. An election worker in Florida was fired following an incident where a bin contained filled out ballots. These are not just blank ballots. These are ones that have actually been filled out. Where they fell off a truck in the Sunshine State. The Miami-Dade County Elections Department announced on Tuesday that the election worker didn't lock the truck before driving, resulting in, in the ballots falling out of the truck. Upon arrival at the police department, election staff verified that all seals were intact and nothing had been tampered with or was damaged. The department said once at election headquarters, all items were accounted for and all seals were once again verified. They described what happened as human error. The ballots were noticed due to a driver finding a bag of ballots and a bin of ballots near the Turnpike extension in Cutler Bay. The driver brought the ballots to the police department after seeing them. In other words, the guy driving the truck didn't even know he'd lost them. There was a driver who was just a random driver, good Samaritan, sees these things fall off the truck, stops, picks them up, and takes them to the police department and called the election people, and they have fired the election worker in Florida for that. Wow. Just the strangest things are happening in this election season. Look, I mean, you know, are there going to be things where it's imperfect? Are elections perfect? No, they're never. We've never promised Americans we would have perfect elections. We have said that we'll have, you know, honest and fair elections, and many people are. I'll be honest with you. If I were to take a poll right now, if I were to open the phone lines, I wouldn't have any trouble at all getting all our phone lines filled up with people who feel like that there's going to be cheating. I am concerned. Mostly, I'm concerned about people who are not citizens of this country who can find a way to vote. Now, I read a big story on this, and I got to tell you, it was really sort of like a talk down. Oh, you know, everybody worries about this stuff, but it's really not there. I don't agree with that. I think there are reasons to be concerned when all you have to do to vote in this election as a non-citizen is lie. If you get a driver's license and they ask you the question, are you an American citizen? And you say yes, you've got the ID, right? And then you can get registered to vote. And again, people say, well, there's no real evidence this is a big problem. Well, how do you know? How in the world can you possibly know the number of people who've chosen to circumvent the system, to play the system, and get registered to vote? I am concerned about that. I have been for some time now. Then the other thing is, the other day we learned that the Biden administration has apparently cleared the way for like 1 million people who came to this country illegally to stay here permanently. Now, do they have a pathway to citizenship? Not yet. But, you know, here's the thing. The Democrats have been very clear. If we get the right lineup, we will try to push this through Congress. It won't go through a Republican Senate. It currently won't go through a Republican House. I'm not even sure that all Democrats would vote for it, but they're going to try. And then you'll have 18 million people who came to this country illegally, potentially being thrown into the electorate. Not this time, but next time. Trump announces plan to seize cartel assets. I love this idea. I think that what I would like to see with if you want to get serious about stopping the border is, you know, when Trump gets in there, I want them to declare war on the cartels. They are doing things that enemy combatants do. They are a danger to the integrity of our borders, a danger to our communities by bringing drugs and allowing and helping bad people who have no business being in this country get into this country. You know, we declare all the time that people who act against our interests in the United States are enemy combatants. Why is it that we have never declared that the cartel is an enemy combatant? I think we should. And I guarantee you could stop things happening at the border pretty darn quick if you were to do that. Trump announces plan to seize cartel assets, with national polls indicating he is surging in the presidential race. Former President Donald Trump announced plans to seize assets of criminal gangs and cartels to create a fund to help victims of migrant crimes if he returns to the White House. I mean, I keep hearing these things that Donald Trump's coming up with, and I go, this makes sense. Trump announced the plans during a Tuesday media event at Mar-a-Lago before he headed off to Pennsylvania to do a campaign stop. Today I'm announcing the first time under my administration, we will be seizing the assets of the criminal gangs and drug cartels, and we will use those assets to create a compensation fund to provide restitutions for the victims of migrant crime. The government will help in the restitution, but something has to be done, and we're going to get it done. This on Newsmax. Trump used the event to excoriate Vice President Kamala Harris for her failure to help secure the southern border, because she was named the border czar. He was joined on the stage by the mother of a child allegedly killed by an MS-13 migrant member, the owner of a struggling dry cleaning business, and the mother of a soldier who died in Afghanistan. There was also a brief video showing the mother of a 12-year-old girl allegedly murdered by 2 illegal migrants. He spoke for several minutes about the southern border, where the cartels have transported fentanyl and trafficked children into the United States, and a criminal gang member have entered the country. And so he says, look, what we're going to do is we're going to seize wherever we can the property and the goods of the cartels. We'll sell it, and then we'll set up a fund. I love this idea. Trump summed up Harris's role in the current administration by saying, the full consequences of Kamala's 4-year reign are almost too terrible to discuss or to contemplate. So I agree with him on that. You know, right now in the campaign world, we are, as I said, just 7 days away from Election Day and the beginning of the end. I don't think we will know the outcome on the night of, but I think it will be the beginning of the end of our long national nightmare. As I said earlier, I know one thing that will come to a close on Election Day. After Election Day, we don't have to watch Marsha Blackburn break any more plates on television. She's been breaking plates. Every time I look up, there's Marsha breaking China. And that will, the ads will stop, and that'll be a good thing. But if you think it's bad for us, you ought to be in one of these battleground states. I mean, can you imagine? We need to check in with our guy in Pennsylvania who listens to the show from us up there. Check in with him and see how it's going. But can you imagine being in Pennsylvania where you have, it's a battleground state and everybody's putting in millions and millions and millions of dollars for advertising for this campaign or this issue or that issue? That's all that you would be seeing now for months.
It'd make me want to just go into hiding, just turn everything off.
I mean, honestly, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. By the way, Trump put a new ad out on this weekend in one of the football games. I must say, I haven't seen an ad that was that good since Morning in America with Ronald Reagan. I mean, it was a great ad. I mean, it was a perfect political ad. And it was upbeat. It was positive. It talked about issues. It talked about, making America great again and all that kind of stuff. It was very upbeat. Compare and contrast that with what's going on with Kamala Harris, where she's calling, the former president a fascist and this, that, and, comparing it to Hitler. I forgot to say the other day, they were all of these comparisons. Democrats were saying, you know what, this thing at Madison Square Garden is just like a pro-communist, fascist rally that was held in 1939 at Madison Square Garden. And I wanted to say, yeah, there are a lot of things that have happened at Madison Square Garden. For example, in 1992, it was where the Democrats held their national convention. And I know this because I was there. I covered it. I was in the room. So, enough of that stuff. She can continue to throw rocks. She's supposed to be, right as we speak now, delivering her final sell to the American people. And it'll be interesting to see whether she pulls back from all of this Nazi fascist stuff and actually talks about issues. So far, they just haven't had the willpower or the discipline to do that. 20 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. You know, let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your health goals. Restoration Wellness is a leader in weight loss management in Wilson County. Call the Restoration Wellness team today at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. Now, my friends Jamie and Carly will take good care of you there, treat you like you're part of the family. You can be part of the more than 1,000 patients who have already seen life-changing results from the weight loss management program. Gain your confidence back. Weight loss can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, enhance your overall health. These treatments are customized plans. The folks at Restoration Wellness will consider your unique needs, your lifestyle, your goals. So if your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Learn all about the newest technology in weight loss management. Go to restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
All right. Thank you, Ken Weaver. You were just saying, Chris, you've been monitoring there in the control room the event on the Ellipse at the National Mall, just south of the White House, where Kamala Harris is supposed to be making her major statement as closing arguments is what they're calling it, and it's been sort of weird in that they brought out a bunch of people and they had a big hoo-ha and a lot of people have things to say, and now there's just nothing happening.
Yeah, they started at like 5:30, I think, and they trotted out all these people, and they spoke one by one, and then when they left, the stage has just been empty, and it's just been sitting there.
And you noticed something interesting about one of the videos that was playing. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, right before the event started, the live event started, they had this sort of a billboardy type thing, produced piece with lots of graphics and video pieces and clips and stuff like that promoting Harris Walt's campaign. And I noticed there were several images that kept repeating of an upside-down American flag.
That's
and it would only show for just a split second, and it wouldn't show the entire flag, but it was enough of it to see that the stars were on the bottom. And they showed it repeatedly throughout this little produced piece, and I thought that was very strange.
I don't know what that's all about. And you notice that you're saying that the crowd looks very large there on the Ellipse.
Yeah, pretty big crowd.
Yeah, I'll guarantee you that tomorrow you'll read about, the big, massive turnout on the Ellipse. It's dark there, right? It's really dark, yeah. And what you're going to find out is, nobody will tell you that the reason why that is. The reason it is it's in D.C. And all that it's just that right there around the Ellipse, the entire downtown area is walkable to the Ellipse, and that's where all the federal workers work, and all of the appointees of the administration have offices and they around there. So all they got to do is walk down the street to attend this rally. So, yeah, it's a built-in audience, and so I would not read a lot into the fact that the crowds are very large. And, look, if you can wamp up a crowd, you do it any way you can. But giving a major speech like this in D.C., which is like, 5 out of the 6 people who live in D.C. are Democrats. It's a heavily blue, the most blue community perhaps in the nation. And it's no problem to wamp up a crowd there. That doesn't indicate, it may look good, but it doesn't indicate support because, anybody who's a Democrat could wamp up an audience in D.C. And half of these people work for the government. More than half, I'm certain. So I don't read a lot into that. But, look, Trump's off giving his speeches. And do you think really, honestly, at this point, there's got to be so few people who haven't made up their mind about what they're going to do. You can say just about anything. And short of, completely melting down and having, some kind of weird, episode in front of the nation's cameras, I just can't imagine that it's going to have a tremendous impact. The Trump people know Trump, are going to vote for Trump, and the Kamala Harris people, Democrats, are going to vote for whoever they put up. And this time it's Kamala Harris. I don't think that they're dramatically going to change many minds at this point. But when you understand that, 50 million people have already cast their ballots in America. 50 million people already casting their ballots. And we still got, early voting in a couple of places, still going all the way up until I think November 1st is the last day of early voting in most places. And for us, it's Halloween. So, there'll be probably somewhere around 60, 70% of the people who are going to cast ballots will have already cast their ballots. So I don't know that it changes a lot of minds. Are there people out there who are undecided? According to the pollsters, they say it's around 2%. I don't understand how you could be undecided at this point. I just don't get that at all. Are you brain dead? Have you not been paying attention? I guess there are people who just wake up and say, I got an election. I guess I better decide who I'm going to vote for. I guess there are those people who just don't follow it that closely, who don't have an opinion and have to think about it. And the question is, people always say, well, how do you, why do sometimes the pollsters get it wrong? It's because you never know what those people are going to do. Those 2%, can really swing an election in a close election. And you don't know what they're going to do because they haven't made up their mind until the very last second. 30 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. You know, you don't have to wait until November to start taking our country back. We can get into the fight now with Coin, the conservatives' credit card. Instead of funneling millions to the left like other cards do, Coin advances conservative values and charities. You can earn cash back while fighting back. Apply now at coin.com. That's COIGN.com. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosures for full details.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly. who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
"37 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. It is 7:37 on the East Coast in Washington, D.C., and Kamala Harris has now just come out on stage. So what's it looking like there, Chris?
She's slowly making her way down the very long catwalk, stopping to wave at the crowds, hamming it up.
Yeah. She got to be speaking there. Right there on the mall, same place that Donald Trump gave his January 6th speech. And I'm sure she'll be trying to make a point about that. It'll be interesting to see. Trump is up in Pennsylvania making his speech. Again, I just have a hard time understanding how anybody at this point is going to be swayed by something they say on the stage. You know, I mean, if she were to say something really stupid, yeah, you could say, well, maybe that would hurt her. In the last analysis, when there's, people still who haven't cast their ballot, won't until Election Day. But I got to be honest with you, she's pretty disciplined about reading the teleprompter. Donald Trump, on the other hand, not so much. He reads the teleprompter a little, and then he wings it for a while. Then he comes back to the teleprompter. Then he wings it for a while. He's in and out of the teleprompter, and it's in those winging moments where sometimes he says things that get him into trouble. But at this point, honestly, if you like Donald Trump, you're going to vote for Donald Trump. If you don't like Donald Trump, you're going to vote for Kamala Harris. And, that seems to be the thing. And I'll just recap briefly. The polls are tight. And there's a real question about whether or not pollsters are still underestimating Donald Trump's strength. They've been doing that. They did that in 2016. They did that in 2020. And if they're still doing it, then it's going to be a cakewalk for Donald Trump on election night. If the pollsters have it somewhat right, and they have made the proper adjustments to accurately give us a readout on Donald Trump, then it's going to be a very long night and a very tight race. That said, there are a lot of anecdotal signs that this thing is really, really looking better for Trump. I mean, number one, the trend has been in his direction for some time now. And nothing indicates that the trend is not much of a trend. There's not a lot of people out there who have made up their minds. But the trend has definitely been toward Trump and away from Kamala Harris. And he now leads in most of the key battleground states. He's like, I'll just go through them. I happen to have them right here because that's what I do. Real Clear Politics battleground averages. These are like 10 polls averaged together. In Arizona, Trump leads by 1.3. In Georgia, he leads by 2.3. In Michigan, Harris leads by 0.3. In Pennsylvania, Trump leads by 0.4. In North Carolina, a state where Kamala Harris pulled out over the weekend, pulled out all of the advertising dollars, and she apparently is going to cede the state. Trump leads by about a point, 0.9. Nevada, where the early voting has been very strong for Trump, the polling shows that Trump leads by, on average, 0.7. So there I have it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about out of the major battleground states, Trump leads slightly in all but one, and that would be Michigan. In the general election average, Trump 0.1. He leads by 0.1, 1/10 of 1 point. In the battleground average, he leads by about 1 point, it's actually 0.9. So, I mean, these poll numbers couldn't be any tighter. And, well, everything that I've just quoted you, every single number that I gave you is well within the margin of error. I like the trend, I like the anecdotal evidence, and I like a lot of things about it, but I got to tell you, it really depends on whether they've gotten a good scald on these polls or not. If they got a good take on them, then this is going to be a very good night for Donald Trump. If they haven't, then it's going to be a long night. We'll see how it all plays out. Go ahead, so good.
Just wanted to give a quick update on Kamala's speech. About 2 minutes into her speech, she brought up January 6th.
Did right away, huh?
Right
Imagine that. Right off the top, huh?
Mm-hmm.
You want to pull up a little bit and let us listen to it for a minute or so?
We can do that.
Yeah, we can do that, yeah.
Donald Trump has spent a decade trying to keep the American people divided and afraid of each other. That is who he is. But America, I am here tonight to say that is not who we are. That is not who we are. That is not who we are. You see, what Donald Trump has never understood is that e pluribus unum, out of many, one, isn't just a phrase on a dollar bill. It is a living truth about the heart of our nation. Our democracy doesn't require us to agree on everything. In fact, we like good arguments from time to time. Just think of your own family, right? It's not the American way to not have disagreements. We don't shy away from robust debate. In fact, we like a good debate, don't we? We like a good debate. And the fact that someone disagrees with us does not make them the enemy within. That's right. They are family, neighbors, classmates, co-workers. They are fellow Americans. And as Americans, we rise and fall together.
Well, there you have it, a little bit of Kamala Harris on the mall giving her closing argument. She could not resist the temptation right off the top to attack Donald Trump. What'll be interesting to see is over the course of, I'm sure it'll be about an hour speech, how many times she returns to that theme, or whether she does something that she hasn't been doing, which is to give an actual explanation of how she's going to do all the things that she says she's going to do. Karl Rove is among those who believes that Kamala made a hell of a mistake when she went after Donald Trump for being a fascist.
I think she made a big mistake by engaging on the issue of John Kelly's comments about Donald Trump being a fascist. She basically spent 2 days talking about that. And that's not a winning issue for her. Everybody who already thinks that or who will be touched by that is already in her camp. The problem she's got is that she's been a presidential candidate for less than 3 months. And the American people are saying, do I know enough about you to feel comfortable putting you in the Oval Office behind the Resolute desk for the next 4 years? She made a mistake. That is not a winning issue for her. But the American people, the small group of them who are up for grabs in this election, want to know, what are you going to do to make my life better for the next 4 years?
Yeah, so that he's right. I mean, that's what people want to know. Will they get it from Kamala Harris tonight? And is it too little, too late? I think are the big questions there. I don't think they're going to have a heck of a lot of impact. One speech doesn't change a bad campaign. In other news, the Ford Motor Company continues to just lose an incredible amount of money on their EVs. Americans don't want EVs by and large, and they've made that very clear. So Ford, you Ford, your GM, your Stellantis, they've all decided to start paring back, but it's going to cost a lot for them to have invested in these electric. You see, and when you're building new cars, or especially a new concept of a car, one that's driven by batteries and not by gasoline, you have to basically put up all your money in front in research and development and develop these new cars. They have lost in 2023, in 2024. According to money release, they've lost another $1.2 billion in the third quarter of this year. They are expected to have a loss of about $5 billion with a B dollars on their electric model division, with their EV division. $5 billion. Now they're making, and the company that sells gas models, that part of the company is making $9 billion. But the EV division has lost $5 billion, so that really cuts into your profits in a big way. They have made some changes in order to try to sell these vehicles. They lost $4.7 billion in EVs in 2023. Looks like they're on track to lose about $5 billion this year. They've come up with a plan to help sell these cars. They offer now free EV chargers and home installation for customers, the installation of the charger. I mean, I was sitting there thinking, if you wanted to buy an electric car and you went down and said, I'll take that car, and you say, now, how am I going to charge it? I mean, you can't take the car right away, right? Because you don't have a way to charge it. What do you do in a situation like that? I mean,
you can plug it into the your 110, but I mean, obviously that's going to take days possibly to charge.
Yeah. Well, anyway, one way or the other, they say now that they will pay for the charger and the installation of said charger at your home, and they think maybe that'll help. I could see where it would be helpful. I just don't think a lot of people. I think most people want a car that they can go on a trip on, and they have real concerns about taking a long trip in an EV. Now, people who have EVs say that they've done it successfully. I hear every time I talk about EVs and how Americans don't want them, the people who have EVs, they write me and tell me, well, I love my EV. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. But apparently they're having a hard time selling them, and they hope that will make things better. Washington Post has lost over 200,000 subscribers because Jeff Bezos decided they would not have an endorsement for president. That would be about 8% of the outlet's $2.5 million digital and print subscribers. He says that what he wants is the Washington Post to become more less liberal and more neutral. Presidential endorsements do nothing to tip the scales of an election. No undecided voters in Pennsylvania are going to say, well, the newspaper A said this. I guess that's the way I'm going to vote. What presidential endorsements actually do is create a perception of bias, a perception of non-independence. Ending them is a principled decision, and it's the right one. And I agree with him, by the way. There used to be a time where journalists tried to be independent and tried not to be, leftist or rightist, whatever you left or right. You're supposed to be in the middle. It's supposed to be neutral. It's supposed to be, not have an opinion. But I think Bezos is actually right about that. But it's going to cost him a lot of money. 50 million, what is it? 15 seconds past the hour of, I'm sorry, it's 6:50 now. Time to go. We got to go. The clock gets blurry this time of day. Stoltzco, listen, the question from the folks at Stoltzco, do you have land? Are you doing anything with it? Well, if you're not doing something with your land, why don't you think about making an investment by building on it? Improve that land. And if you're in the market for a pole barn, the two brothers that run Stoltzco are two guys you need to talk to. Known for exceptional quality, craftsmanship, and fair prices, they can build you a new pole barn to your specifications with your needs in mind. That's the Stoltzco different. Maybe you want to build a barn dominium. That's a barn that you live in, and they're very popular and very cool. Maybe you want a pole barn that's a garage, or a pole barn that'd be a place for you to put all your stuff, or an equestrian space, or maybe it could be a big event space or a place to hang out on weekends. A lot of things you can do, and they'd be glad to talk to you. Go to their website. It's stoltzco.com, Stoltzco, stoltzco.com. Take a look at what they've done for other people and then give them a call. 615-622-5992, or visit them online at stoltzco.com. That's stoltzco.com.